Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Hello and welcome to the Thursday night edition of Spaced Out Radio Tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Merle is here, so get ready to merle it up. You got to be really hardcore merling tonight. We're joined by Samantha MOWAT as well. Something in the Forest on Ghosts of the Great White North. Great to have all of you here tonight, so thank you very much for tuning in as we say hello to Tim Mothman and his goatee, sharing the gold medal. Race fan with a silver, SJ with a bronze medal tonight. Robert Lamoth, John Leonard Walson, welcome to SOR Chat. Marty Burback, good to see you. And Marty will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. All right, let's continue on. Not of this earth, how are you? Race fan, already merling early. Night of the Living Merle, love it. You know, Merle, I'm going to do something different tonight. I'm not changing your name. I'm not changing your name. No, I'm going to keep it Merle all night long. Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, how are you? Kitty Catty Whack, thanks for coming on in. Radio Wendigo, how are you? Little Timmy in the backwoods, good to see you. Crystal J, she knows how to merle. Look at that one. That's power merling right there. Paramarv, how you doing? Noble Patrick, Nikki in Seattle, thank you all for coming on in. Let's continue on with our roll call. Paul Demon, nice to see you. Mainstream Macadamia, thank you for coming on in. Eternity Eternal, good to see you. Thunderhead and Merle merling himself. Look at that. Yeah. CJ Barry and Deanna Ann, thank you for joining us tonight. High Necessary Dialogue and Millennium, my man. Good to see you. Amanda Carroll. Little Marky Spender is here. Little Marky Spender, right there. Yep, there he is. Eating his bag of Cheetos, sitting half naked on his camouflage lounge chair right there. Number 16 in your program, starting at right wing tonight from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. There he is. All right, continuing on. Mama Catherine, mwah, I love you, my dear. I hope you're having a wonderful night. Michael Fontaine, he knows how to merle. All right, Lisa Smith, Jorgensen, Vanessa, she's merling. Pixie Lara is merling too. Hi, purple-haired Pixie Lara. Continuing on with our roll call, let's say hello. Oh, it's Little Tara Spender. There she is. Little Tara Spender will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. She will not sign if you make eye contact. She hates that crap. Don't do it. Don't do it. She will not sign tonight. Lee the Bee and Paisley Parker, nice to see you both. Scrolling on down, let's say, oh, there's Radio Wendigo merling up. Arlene Adkinzel. Wow, it's been a while since we've had you here. Thank you for joining us again. And who's next on our list? Kurt M. Bombshell Bomber getting into the merle action right there. And Paramarv merling it up. Guardian Jackpot, Operation Shutdown. Good to see you both. As we continue on with our roll call, Flat 6, thank you for coming on in. Remember, the Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show. Paramarv, how are you? And Parasolo, good to see you. Al Garay over on Twitch. He bench pressed 500 pounds 37 times just so he could be ready to flex when he sees Samantha Mowat's hair tonight. Her hair looks fantastic. I'm not going to lie. I have good hair, but Samantha is kicking my ass tonight. There is the period dot right there. He's merling it up because he only comes to one show a month. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Good to have you with us as we got Ghosts of the Great White North. Merle and Samantha Mowat are here. We're going to have a great show. I can't wait for this one. Let's continue our roll call. We got Shelley Montgomery right there. And who's next on our list? Jay Truth Seeker. Nice to see you. All right. Reminder to all of you, the super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. As well, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Remember also that there will not be, after this week, new episodes for 2 weeks. We are going in the dark because we are fixing a bunch of stuff behind the scenes of SOR with our social media platforms and everything, all to make this show better. All to make this show better. Do me a favor, everybody. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out the Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. What's it like to be chased out of the forest by Sasquatch tonight? Merle and Samantha Mowat are here to talk about this. Hour number 3. Steve Stockton joins us for another great story. Robin Haynes will have the cryptid report. It's Dave 101 night, and we will get to the weird news of the week. All right, as many of you know, a couple weeks ago, I took a couple days off, so that way we could go out in the forest and play with the monsters among us. Joining me on that awesome extravaganza were two of my best friends in this field. Our main man, Merle, from the Paranormal Road Trippers out of Vancouver, British Columbia. Psychic medium, intuitive, Samantha Mowat. She was there. And I'm not going to lie, we had an interesting experience. 3 nights in the British Columbia wilderness, in the mountains with no people around, not even animals around. But something was around. And we're going to talk about this tonight because real stories and real experiences are what puts the goosebumps on your arm and raises every hair on your back. And trust me, if you're like me, there's a lot of hair on the back in order to raise. You know, I was not the Sasquatch. I was not. Maybe my snoring was in the tent that night. However, we're going to tell you what happened as we look for something in the woods. Merle, Samantha Mowat, good to have you both on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to get into this adventure. Merle, it's been a couple of weeks. You said, hey, man, we got to get Samantha on. We got to talk about this live on Spaced Out Radio. And I'm glad we're doing this, Merle.
I agree. We needed Sam on this because, dang, did we have some experiences in the woods with you, Dave. I didn't even know where to start on our little adventure. It started off slow, but ended with a bang, I would have to say.
Well, that's not technically true, though, because when we drove into the forest, you were the first one to get dropped off at camp.
Fair.
What happened?
Oh, how could I forget this? So Dave dropped me off at camp. So picture yourself going 2.5 hours into the bush on a logging road, Probably looks the same geographically everywhere. Anyhow, Dave drives his Jeep up to the spot where we're going to camp. And once we done unloading the Jeep, Dave went back down to get either Sam or and someone else and some more gear. But anyhow, I was fiddling around, putting all of our gear on tarps because it was going to rain. But then all of a sudden I heard people talking in the bush. And I'm like, oh, here we go in my head. And so I listen again and I can't understand what they're saying, but I could hear audible human voices talking to each other, like full conversation. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to bite on this cheese and I'm going to follow it. And I go into the bush down the path to where there's a plane. And I hear chatting again, humans. I hear a female, maybe two, and a male, so maybe three people. I'm like, I don't think there's people up here because there's only one way in and one way out, and Dave's trampling all over it in the Jeep, and there's no signs of gear or anything around here, no fresh tracks. And then I go in about 15, 20 more feet because I keep hearing these voices. And I have my gimbal on my iPhone the entire time because the second I heard it, I pressed record. And all of a sudden, I see this woman in a long, flowy dress with shoulder-length black hair just walking around aimlessly, looking confused and looking at the ground. And that scared me pretty good. And I retreated back to camp. And then this time, Dave was coming back. So it was perfect timing. And you know what? I think I saw a ghost, Dave.
The way you described it to me when I pulled up to you, you were already tense. You were already absolutely intense, because the first thing you said to me after I came back up with a load full of our gear and camping equipment was that bring somebody with me next time, because you did not feel comfortable being here alone. And then you told me about the lady that you saw who looked like a silverish grayish white, kind of moping around, walking. Tell us about that.
She looked confused. It looked like just a long flowy, not like a wedding dress or like a Victorian gown. It just looked like a long white dress. And like I said, shoulder length hair. I could see her skin, I could see her eyes, I could see everything about her. And just looking at the ground, she wasn't looking up. And I called out to her. But then that's when reality kicked in, and I'm like, there's nobody up here, so you better retreat. And I have it on film. I have yet to go through that part of the film, but I'm hoping to the gods I captured that activity.
Merle,
Samantha. Yeah, go ahead, Samantha.
Was she partially see-through, or was she as solid as you and I?
She was solid. That's why it put me on alert of wondering if there were people up there already. But when I zoomed in on my iPhone, she was gone. Like gone.
Yeah.
Samantha, let's bring you in here for a moment, because this is an event that we had been planning for a number of months and re-going up there. At first, after last year, we were very excited. Well, you guys were very excited. I was not, to come back, because last year tripped me out. But this year, you guys wanted to sleep up there and camp and see what kind of interaction we would have overnight. Now, the interesting part about the British Columbia wilderness at this time of year, there's only about 4.5 hours of darkness.
Yeah.
And when you're working until 2:30 in the morning, you get up, because the daylight is already out there by the time, you're ready to go. Like, sun is starting to rise at that time at about 3:45 in the morning, 3:00 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very difficult to try and get a lot of sleep that way. But for you, why was it important to have our team stay up there?
To give us a better possibility of having a stronger and more intense encounter. Whether it was ETs, Bigfoot, some other cryptid, it seemed like the best course of action for us to capture something with evidence.
Were
What do you
you
think, Merle?
surprised? Go ahead, Merle.
Oh, why do I think it was a good idea? Because I think it puts us in a situation where we're not comfortable. So many teams, so many researchers want to capture that paranormal activity, that interaction with a ghost, Bigfoot, an alien, or whatever you're searching for. But why not go and live there? And if something happens at 3:30 in the morning, you're screwed in a sense. But that's what you're there for, safety wise. Because obviously we're very safe when we were up there. We're respectful, but we're there to capture evidence, and it's either kind of make your mess or get off the pot, right? For doing this sort of thing. And I think that was the best, because I know, Dave, you were really apprehensive about camping up there, and I think I and Sam literally twisted your arm for a good 6 months of like, dude, we're doing this, no choice.
Yeah.
Well, I was going no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I may be the one with the white stripe down my back, when it came to that, and I don't mind that. But I also know I'm with 4 other people who I can trust. You, Merle, Sam, our cameraman Richie, and our bodyguard in the forest, Mark. And I knew that if anything happened, that Mark, being the slowest of us all, okay, we could have, maybe give him a quick chop to the leg to give him a Charlie horse so he would fall down, and that way we would be safe at least. And I say that because I know Mark is listening right now. So it's a safe thing to say. So, but it was the comfort in knowing that I knew I was surrounded by people who I trust 1,000,000%. Like, I like camping. I do like camping, except for them damn air mattresses that always pop. Okay. But going into that location and not knowing what was going to happen, especially after last year, where we ran into the alien and the UFO landing in the forest, and then whatever had growled at us, we're assuming it may have been a bear or a Sasquatch, one of the two. That was something that I was hesitant about, because we didn't know when they were going to come out and play. Merle.
That's true. Like on this last trip, we actually tracked a bear. We had a bear in our perimeter of the campsite. We heard it. Mark and I could hear it in the bush. We heard it doing its growling when it's like looking for whatever in the deadfall. And we found black bear tracks. But at the same time, we were being flanked by something else, something much bigger, which I don't know what to say it was, but we all probably know what it was, because it had 17.5-inch footprints. And we got clear footprints. So I don't know, Dave. That's what I feel about that whole bear Sasquatch thing of.
Well, we're going to get into that a little bit later in the show, but Samantha, for you, day 1 and day 2 of at least the first day and a half after Merle's incident, when we first got in the forest, it was unpleasantly quiet around there. And when I say quiet, like, there was nothing going on. We would think that there would be things around, and then it would be like fleeting energy that we would feel. Like, all of a sudden it'd be like, oh, I'm picking up something, and now it's gone. I'm picking up something, and oh, where did it go? It just seemed very odd for such a loud place of paranormal supernatural activity to go absolutely stone cold quiet for at least 18 to 20 hours.
I can agree with that, Dave, but we also did try to go into their space and probably disrupted the energies that were located in that area. Because you do have deceased people and you have elementals in that area. We've got Bigfoot being there, extraterrestrials that are known to frequent into that area. And so there's a lot of activity that does commonly occur there. But when we decided to camp there, we obviously created such an energetic disruption by coming there with all of our stuff and, a couple of guns and everything else. They probably just wanted to observe to see what our intentions were prior to making any distinct interactions, and I can't blame them.
What's your thoughts on that, Merle?
I agree. I think we were being assessed because we were loud. We had weird smelling food. We had Richie running around yelling. And so I think the whole zen of that area was disrupted. For sure it was. But I also found it really eerie how there was most of the time no animal sounds, no birds, no chipmunks, no squirrels, calmness,
But
like
when we
dead
first,
silent.
but Merle, correct me if I'm wrong, when we first got there, did Dave not end up doing some sort of like opening thing where he wanted things only of peace, love, and light to interact with us? Which
He
is
did.
kind of contradictory to what we did with Richie in my truck on the last night there, inviting shit in. Sorry,
We didn't
Dave.
tell Dave what we did, Sam. Cat's out of the bag.
Oh, is there a new secret here? Oh, let's.
Not
Sam and
really
I
a
have been holding
secret.
something from you, Dave. Well,
Oh,
Sam has.
tell me.
Yeah,
You
you're under
threw
the
me under
bus
the bus.
now. You're under
Thanks.
it.
Ah, great. So we're
We.
driving in my truck, and of
Was
course,
this going back to the location?
this is on the third night. On the third night, I'm driving. Merle is beside me. Richie's in the back, tinkering with his cameras, being Richie. And we decide to do a short little meditation, raise the vibration. And we're like, we've got nothing. We've got nothing on film yet, nothing all that interesting. Let's invite in everything. Everything that could scare us, anything that wants to come on film, we'll take it, go for it, scare the living daylights out of us. We
Safely.
would like to see that. Yeah. So
I
it's
love it.
kind of our fault.
I love it. Yes, that's my team right there.
We really locked
Yeah.
in on it. Like Sam and I were
Oh,
giving
yeah.
it, trying to invite something in, which clearly it happened. But
Which might not have been very smart looking back on it.
Well, you know what?
Mhm.
Let's go back to night number 1.
Sure.
Disappointing? Could we call it disappointing? I mean, we were so pumped up about what had happened the year before and expecting things, because when we were there the year before, literally there was something happening at every
Yeah.
occurrence. Every time we went to an area, there was action, whether it was in that meadow in the trees where you guys were hearing the mumbling voices of men and women. Okay,
Mhm.
but loud enough to hear, but not loud enough to make out what they were saying. Merle, you have a paranormal string of lights that when you're in the middle of the forest, they shouldn't go off. And they kept on flashing us. The shadow person pulling down the glow stick. Okay. I mean, there was a lot happening on night number 1 last year. And I think I was kind of wondering, okay, when does it start? When does it start? It's kind of like the beginning of a movie. You have to sit through all the, 45 minutes of credits before you finally get to the opening scene. And I remember sitting there like, this is lame. Like I'm happy I'm with my friends. I'm happy to be doing this. There's no other place in the world I would rather be right now. But this is lame. Like, what is going on? Like, I could not figure out in my brain why it was happening that way. Sam, how did you feel about night number 1?
I thought it was fine. I thought we were just establishing our energy. I was honestly surprised that the ETs didn't come in and scare the living daylights out of you, because they've done that to quite a few people that I know, but it was a relief to know that they didn't.
same for me, Dave. It was kind of fun watching you get all wound up. Nothing was happening. For
Yeah.
me, it was it was paradise, because Richie and I were doing the camera stuff, and Richie and I were like, okay, we got this done, we got this done, we got this done. What else? What else can we do? What do you want to fit in? Now let's go to bed, because we got everything else. We got everything done. But I agree, Dave. We set the tone pretty hard last year with the amount of stuff like that. Shadow Man, I still think about that. I should talk about that story more, like with a glow stick, because that was petrifying. But
That was.
night 1 was good. I had a great sleep, and then day 2 started to pop off a little bit. Would you think?
It wasn't until the evening, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, we had everything at camp. We kind of, I mean, it was nice coming off that first night, because we did do a bunch of filming and B-roll that needed to be done, and why we were doing it and everything like that, which I guess maybe they were giving us a break. But I kept waiting. I don't know if you guys were on night number 1. I kept waiting to be interrupted. You know what I'm saying? Like I was expecting interruption by noise in the forest or some sort of orb or sound or something floating in the sky, but that never happened. So
No. And I
No.
find that unique about our field too. It's like even on for me, because I'm a ghost guy out of our little thing here. Sometimes they just don't want to talk, or they're not there. They could be somewhere else, or they just don't have the energy. They can see what we're doing, and they're like, "Now these guys are weird." And
But we did feel them around us a lot.
100%.
When we walked to the crash site, we could feel their energies over there. And same when we walked over to the meadow, we felt a lot of the energy there as well. They were definitely watching us because it
Yeah.
was, like you said earlier, eerily quiet. We should have heard chipmunks and squirrels and birds, but we really heard very little, all things considered.
I agree. So looking back on it, yeah, maybe it was a bit ominous.
Yeah.
sign of things to come. We got about 3.5 minutes before we have to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Merle is here from the Paranormal Road Trippers. Samantha MOWAT joining us. Something in the forest. Oh, we are building up this picture very, very nicely for you guys. Very nicely. And as we get ready to go to break, Sam, I just want to ask you regarding, to kind of complete night number one.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel the intensity building as the intuitive? Did you feel the intensity building? Did you feel that something was off? Did you feel anything that was just out of the ordinary?
No, it felt like we were being observed by a lot of different multidimensional beings, Dave. I remember commenting that I felt a lot of ET energy around us, as though things were watching us from the forest and above, but it didn't feel as though anything was of a danger to us. I could sense that we were very well protected, and I wasn't afraid at any point because it felt like we were completely safe. It just felt like, as we said, we were being observed. And I think you're right, Merle. I think that they were trying to determine what our objective was and if we were worth interacting with or if we're just humans that they should be ignoring or pushing out of there.
Yeah, no, I would agree because I know, Dave, you said there were people up there clearing a trail, so they probably had more traffic than they're used to up there. So they were probably just trying to figure us out because every other time we've gone there, Dave, it's been pretty intense, right quick, the daytime. But yeah, it was basically like a camping trip for the beginning.
Yeah, and I think with 2 minutes to go here, I think that I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't prepared for the monotony because normally during the day when I've been there, it's been monotonous. You can still feel the energy around, but it's more further in the distance. But this time it just seemed to be a little bit off. Like where is it? Like it's kind of like, when you're a kid snooping for that present from mom and dad and you just can't find it. That's what it was like to me, Mike.
Yeah, I kind of waiting, you're snooping, you're hoping, and you're looking for it. But we didn't have to wait too long for things to come looking for us. And when we were separated, or if like, because I know Sam went for a walk, I went for a walk, and you would feel more energy around you when you were alone, I found.
Do you think that they were maybe trying to separate us, Sam?
No, I think they're just trying to get a clear read as to what each of us was like. Dave, as you mentioned, the trails were being renovated and cleared out. That in itself is a lot of new energetic disruption happening. Even those people that went through, they would have been dropping energy and leaving it there. So I can't blame those beings for wanting to get to know what each of us was trying to do. But we did have a lot of ETs that did come around because I remember feeling the energy of the reptilians and feeling the energy of the Greys. And it felt like they were watching us, but from a cloaked position. I was surprised that they didn't come see us at all.
Yeah, that surprised me too.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that more as we discuss night number 2 of Something in the Woods. This was the adventure that myself, along with Samantha MOWAT and Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers, went on just a couple of weeks ago. And we are going to discuss this. We're telling you the full tale of what happened tonight. This is the truth from all of us because there's nothing scarier than being the hunted. This is Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. We will be right back, everybody. All right, we are clear.
Yay.
I'm just getting intense thinking about this.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was fun. I liked it. I want to go
Oh, I'd
camping
do it
again.
again. I'd do it again.
But would you go there again to go camping?
Oh yeah, I've already been back. Not camping, but I've already been back.
Well, of course.
You
Yeah.
have? Good.
I have. Our donation for Merle's staff is still there.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where is your staff, Merle?
It's over there.
Okay, so you're gonna, for our YouTube audience, you're gonna, because I've been bragging about this staff that you got.
Mhm.
Okay, you're gonna have to show it.
They're gonna have to wait till hour number 1 is over.
Yeah, we'll do it in
Yeah.
hour 2.
Yeah.
We'll do it in
Okay.
hour 2. I still can't believe
And
that, man.
when you
Yeah.
do it, can you like go slow and show some of those really cool, crazy engravings? Because some of them looked really cool.
I will try, but my setup may not. We'll make it
It's all
happen.
good.
Yep, we'll make it
No
happen.
worries. Yeah.
So what energy do you pick up back there, Sam? On the old lady.
A lot of this really interesting green energy coming out of her. So I think that she's probably the one that you feel a lot like around like midnight when the house is kind of quiet. Like I think she's the one that kind of comes out and watches you, and it doesn't
Oh.
feel bad. Like none of them feel malevolent. They just feel like they're curious more than anything else. I don't
Okay.
mind it, but she does feel a bit criticizing to me, so I'm not necessarily fond of that part.
Fair.
I guess so. But they
I
have a
swear.
lot of.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, it's okay.
I was just gonna say, I swear her picture frame is growing. Every time we talk about her, her frame seems to get bigger.
Mm.
Merle, you've heard that.
I think they like you, Merle. Like I really do feel like they're positive energies for you. I don't feel like they have any malicious intention at all.
Good.
Not from what I'm seeing. Yeah.
Someone told me that
Hmm.
that one
Yeah.
like walks in my house.
I wouldn't be surprised.
That's
Yeah, I'm
something
just trying to.
knocks over there.
Nice. No, I'm just trying to look at them and get a better idea. It's fun through tech, though.
My good camera's not working tonight for whatever reason.
It's all good. I wouldn't worry about it. You look fine. Yeah. It'll be interesting.
What else, Dave?
Not much.
No.
It's gonna be good. We're gonna where are we gonna go in the next half hour?
Day 2.
Date. You know what? That makes sense.
Yep. Day 2. Usually day 2 follows day 1.
Does it?
Oh, yeah. So I think that's a proper place to start. At least that's my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very smart.
Yep.
Your
That's how I
grammar
roll.
says that.
That's how I
Mm,
roll sometimes.
nice. How big is that Sasquatch print behind you, Dave?
This one?
Yeah.
That's about 12 to 14 inches.
Then you might want to mention it in relation to sizing at a later point.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Eagle-eyed Sam. Eagle-eyed Sam. You know,
Unless
that's
it's too close or too far.
uh-huh. Yeah. Believe it or not, when Sam's in the forest, she wears a monocle.
Who's gonna believe that?
I don't even know where that came from, but it just
Who the hell would get a monocle?
oh, I don't know. Oh, she's like, yes, yes.
I would love that. That'd be
Uh-huh.
awesome.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. That'd be fun.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to do it again.
I can't wait to go see Mandy. That's gonna be fun.
No. Thank you tonight to W. Decker, Area 53, for kicking off the super chat tonight and following it up, Shelly, with a great super chat as well. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. If you're new to this chat room or new to the show, do us a favor, hit subscribe, ring that bell, and you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Get your Merle shirts there today. Here we go. Comes the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Something in the forest making life a little scary for us. We'll fill you in momentarily, but first, I want to remind you that if you have missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, or hit us up and download for free our show on any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. From Vancouver, British Columbia, from the Paranormal Road Trippers, it's Merle, our good man Merle for Ghosts of the Great White North. We are talking with Samantha MOWAT tonight. Something in the forest. That is the topic du jour. What is it like to come into a place where weird things happen all the time? Day number 2, we are there. We wake up in the morning. Richie's all yipping and yapping. I mean, he's scaring every animal away. Richie, our cameraman. All right. If you've ever seen a human megaphone, that's Richie. That's Richie. You got to admit that, Sam.
He's lovely. We love Richie.
With a monster accent.
Yeah.
With that, Sam, as we continue on here with the show. Day 2, we decided to make a game plan on what we needed to do. But the strangeness, I don't know if you guys know, Merle, you probably did. Actually, Sam, you probably did too before I did. But batteries all of a sudden on Saturday started to die. Batteries that should have lasted for hours, and they hadn't been used very often, were all of a sudden being plugged in and not working. Merle, do you want to take that one? Or Sam, do you want to take that one?
Nothing was working out for us electronically. All of our cameras, from my camera to Richie's camera to audio recorders to oh God, the lights. It was like they were broken, but they weren't, because we charged them when we got back to your place the following day. But all of our stuff was malfunctioning, was dying, everything was like, we made sure everything was charged, and we were extremely frugal with the batteries. And the amount we had, we should have been able to shoot for like 4 days straight. Like, I think each camera, I know we don't get techie, probably had 6 batteries with it, and gone, especially the lights. And we even tried charging them off your Jeep, and we shorted it.
You ended up shorting out my Jeep.
Yeah.
All the electronics in my Jeep.
But even with our experiments, we were delaying them. Things weren't working when we were going to our experiments. But if you back it up to day 1 really quick, Dave, we basically had so many warnings to not go in the bush, with trees falling down right in front of Sam's vehicle, your vehicle, just tons of stuff. But my point is that did carry off into day 2 with experiments. Like, when we would set up, boom, it would start to rain. Yeah. And then, yes, we know rain is not a normal occurrence, but it was all the timing. Or because we would set everything up, or when we would set stuff up, audio wouldn't work. It was just a disaster filming. We did get the shot on a handful of our clips, but it was annoying would be the word to use.
But Merle, you do bring up a good point. That is something we didn't mention. I don't even remember how many trees Mark had to cut with his chainsaw, and then we had to physically move them out of the way because we could not drive over them either with a Jeep or a Ford F-350. Neither one of them would have made it over that. So, I mean, we should have taken the signs of, hey, perhaps these beings didn't want to have people there in the first place.
Jumping out and being in the lead with all the trees that were across the path to get there. And it wasn't a lot. It was about 4 or 5. Okay. That it was still like looking where they came from and how they were pushed. Yes, we had a little bit of wind. Yes, it could have been Mother Nature doing that because that path is very, very tiny to get in.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm still surprised you got your big truck in there. I really
Yeah.
am. But it's not a normal path. It's not something that is clear cut. It's not something that is doing that. So I could see where Mother Nature was doing that. But there was a couple of those trees that looked like they were smaller, that shouldn't have been affected by the wind, and just seemed pushed over in order to create a little bit of a barrier for people not to cross this.
Mm.
I don't know. It was all weird, especially with the trees. And then like we're on to day 2 now, and just the more tech guy, because that's what Rich and I were doing. It was a nightmare. And even during your session, your stuff malfunctioned, and I don't think we even finished all of our experiments for that night because of the weather and the electronics.
Yeah, we definitely had a lot of issues with everything. Even when it came to when you were set up under that one tree, Merle, and the amount of beings that you could feel watching us as we went into that more isolated part where the bush is denser and there's a lot more things overhead, like the more dense bush and what have you. It felt like we were being watched by something that was up high. And when Dave thought that he saw a being, I think it was like a couple hundred feet away from us or something, which we did find out like, okay, that one wasn't. But I can see why he would think that because of like how much it felt like we were being observed. I thought we had a cougar maybe overhead that was watching us.
Fair.
I was wondering what was watching us too. And realistically, as night number 2 started to go from daylight into the evening, this is where we were planning our next adventure. This is where we were like, okay, we haven't had anything spontaneous really happen. Now let's go see what we could do to spur on. And Merle, you kind of kicked that off with going into the forest and trying in the middle of nowhere to do an EVP session. And this was way off the beaten path. It was probably 120 yards from the crash site. Why did you choose that location?
I chose it to be respectful. I didn't want to be near or at the crash site to do that, because that's what we agreed on. And Sam and I went for a walk earlier that day, and she found an area where spirits were, and they were staying there, and they weren't necessarily from the crash, but they were from the area.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought we would get we did get some names. We got some names, and we got a city coming through the spirit box. But again, I'm glad that we sat down and wrote down experiments we wanted to do because we were running out of nothing was happening essentially.
Which was so weird. Like even when we went the year before, Merle, I remember you and I both felt a lot of Aboriginal spirits that were present in the area, very protective of it, very, well, not just observational of us, but also very curious about what we were choosing to do. And I think that because we were respectful last year, I think that they were more curious about why we came back this year. But I was surprised they didn't come through either. It was really dead silent, in my opinion, for a lot of our experiments, which is unheard of.
Yeah, because we did put a lot of time in different experiments, different energies, and that's what these investigations are like. You need to be prepared to get skunked, and you need to be prepared to adapt which is, I think we did very well. Like with Dave did the Estes because that was very successful last year. Dave, remember the Estes last year compared to this year?
Yeah, you know what's weird is that was the first time, and I've only done the Estes method 4 or 5 times.
Mhm.
That was the first time I actually got voices this year.
Mhm.
Last year, it was all images.
This
It
is
was,
weird.
yeah, and no noise. This time, it was voices. Everything from one-word answers to small sentences. But let's get back to your EVP session here for a second. What were you hearing? What were you feeling as you did that? What were you trying to accomplish?
I was trying to get a name because I know that we've had a lot of interactions, a lot of energies of spirits, but I'd like to associate that energy with a name. I'd like to share. What I wanted to do was get a name to share their story or something for us to dive in on who this could be or where they're from or what the like. I believe we got the name Bill that came through on the spirit box,
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
and was it Orlando? Like we had a
Atlanta.
random
It was
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
And like I have that written down actually on my list in front of me of things that I want to delve into and investigate of who is a Bill of that area and why Atlanta. What's the
Well, let's just
connection?
preface for our audience first.
Yeah.
We are in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
There is no cell phone towers. There is no radio towers. There is no radio signal out there. There's no cellular phone signal out there.
Nothing.
There's no electric power lines running through. We are literally 40 kilometers into the forest, which is about 25 miles for our American friends and our British friends. Okay. We are in the middle of nowhere. There's one way in, one way out. Anybody who comes in has to pass us. And it's not even on the main road. It is off a beaten trail that if you didn't know it was there, you would drive right by it like nothing happened.
Yep.
So here we are, trying to get this, and your ghost box doesn't even have an antenna on it
Nope.
in order to try and lower the actual radio frequency, Merv.
Yeah. Like so the antenna's disconnected from my spirit box. So even if we were in a populated area, you're just gonna hear static. So the fact that we were in the middle of nowhere with no radio and like they live central British Columbia, which there's no radio up there. And to get names and cities come through clear as a bell to me was extremely interesting and I found to be a successful experiment with what we were doing. None of our sensors went off. But using the spirit box there and with Sam's intuition of try this area because you're gonna get a result. That's a win. That's communication, and I wish we got more there because I'd love to know who Bill from Atlanta is. So per se,
You know what I found weird?
Hmm.
I don't know if you picked up on this, Samantha. The whole weekend, we barely had any mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Even when we went into the trees, we had barely any mosquitoes. And yet, in that one area where Merle was, it's just as dry, it's just as arid, it's just as hot, and we were absolutely attacked by mosquitoes.
slaughtered. Yeah.
Now, I don't know the nature of bugs very well, okay, because all I know is that I am a target for mosquitoes. They love my O positive blood. But I found that weird. I didn't get a single mosquito bite anywhere else on that area in that area, except for where Merle was doing his EVP session.
Well, I mean, paranormal activity, because the energetic disruption does often cause strange behavior with electronics, as we experienced throughout the weekend, as well as with animals. It's been cited by numerous researchers over many decades, recounting how not only cats and dogs, but even insects can behave very differently depending upon what's occurring within the energies nearby.
I never thought about that. That's actually quite interesting because David, you're right. Like the amount of bugs that were around that particular area was disgusting. And I was trying really hard not to look extremely or be extremely impatient due to like just the annoyance of the bugs in my ears or my eyes or
Yeah.
biting everywhere. And because I'm trying to concentrate and make communication, that's what we're there for.
Mhm.
But maybe it was a deterrent. Never thought about it like that.
Well, it could very well be it. I mean, they even show stuff like that in Hollywood movies, which quite commonly they
Yeah.
draw upon their information to make it more realistic from real life events.
Because thinking about it, I cut my session, my investigation actually quite short
Yeah.
because I was like, I'm done with the bugs. And it sucks because we were on a roll with the spirit box, looking, bringing up, just thinking about it now.
Mhm.
But yeah, if I could do it over, I would probably have manned up a little more and try to go a little longer. But it was atrocious.
I couldn't wait to get out of there because of the mosquitoes. And
Yeah.
the thing is, we weren't in like a dark, dingy place. We were in the open.
Yeah.
There was 5 trees around. 5 trees. Now, I don't know if I know Mark is in the chat room. He knows nature a little bit better than we do. Mark, maybe if you're still listening, you could comment on that. We could let the audience know. But I just found that very interesting about the bugs. And then that seemed to spark everything on Saturday, as we got about 7.5 minutes to go, because immediately we went back to camp. We started setting up the lighting and everything for getting into the more spiritual aspect of it with the Estes method.
Mhm.
Yeah. And just one more thing about my session, Dave. The brand new lights kept dying. Brand new. So that whole investigation session was a wash. But it did set the tone for your Estes method. Like, we didn't use a blindfold, we used something called Delco goggles, which is a form of the Gansfeld where you kind of trance out with a red light with doing the spirit box session on your ears. And it was kind of neat to see you have voices come through and just watch you go through your Estes journey.
It was weird because, and I'm going to need your guys' help here, because to me, it's kind of like a channeling session.
That's exactly what it is.
I really don't get, I don't even remember what was really coming. All I know is that there was like 4 or 5 different voices. 3 of them were male, 2 were female. I don't remember what they were saying. I don't remember. The one thing I do remember was there never seemed to be a real pattern of the words. I was trying to correlate the words of what they were and trying to figure out, okay, is this towards the crash site? Is this towards communication with one of us? Is it extraterrestrial? What could it be? And I just didn't seem to I remember wearing the goggles and thinking, these are uncomfortable. It took me a while to get used to them because it just didn't, to me, it didn't feel right. I thought they were awesome. Okay, but it just didn't feel right. I know, Sam, you had way more success than I did with the goggles.
Yeah.
But once we blacked them out, Merle, and thank you for doing that. Once we blacked them out, that's where it seems to have started to take off. But I don't know. Maybe you guys could bail me out here because I don't remember what I was saying.
But was it the red that bugged you, Dave? Sorry, Merle. Like the red visual effect that was throwing you off? Because I remember you commenting on something about being disruptive for you.
Yeah, I found it very disruptive. Like when I meditate or when I'm doing I'm always in the dark. I prefer to work with my eyes closed because then I can use my eyes to kind of see, okay, what are these, foggy images trying to do? And for some reason, I can sometimes, bring them into focus. And with the red in the goggles, to me, everything there were things moving in there. And I think that's the purpose of them, Merle, is that there were things moving in there, but it was all in a fog, and it
Hmm.
was throwing me off. And I'm like, okay, I remember thinking, okay, focus, couldn't do it, could not do it. And the brightness of the red was really throwing me off. So I actually closed my eyes under them to try and get more concentration going. And I could see the red through my eyelids.
Yeah, and the beauty of it is when you're throwing out random words, that's gold for us because we're asking questions that you can't hear. It could be like, is there a man? What is the man's name behind Dave? And if you say Earl, we're like, oh dang, there's an Earl. That there could be an Earl behind
Yeah.
Dave. And
But
your nonsense that you think is nonsense is exactly what we're looking for when you're saying random words, especially when we're
yeah,
asking peppering
but
questions.
but I will say this, for me, the words started coming after we blacked out the goggles.
You're too agitated with the red, I think.
I was.
Yeah.
I was very agitated with it. I'm
Mhm.
not saying I wouldn't do it again. I think if they were a different color, like maybe a darker blue or a darker green or even a darker gray or even black, I could have totally done it. But
Mhm.
the red was just, it amplified my anxiety. Like, I'm not getting anything. I'm not getting anything. But Sam, 3 minutes ago, you had a different experience with what's it called, Merle? What Sam did?
So Sam basically we did the Gansfeld with her. Like we didn't do the Estes. So she was basically using the goggles for their intent of trancing out to try and communicate with beings that's around through trance.
Yeah, which is easy. But Dave, I suspect that when you were doing it, if because of your underlying sense of anxiety with the location, that probably just topped you over the edge and make it more difficult for you to connect into channel. That's my speculation based upon what we're discussing at this time and looking at it from an objective point of view. But I
I
found
think
it easy. I like the rub.
I think you're right on that, because I'll be honest with you, I was a little frustrated because, like I said, going back to 2023 when we were there, it was there was something every time we turned our head, whether it was the perfume smells or whether it was the noises by the trees or the shadow person or the UFO and alien. Like, there was always something happening,
Yes.
and I had such high hopes for that same, maybe not the same interactions, but the same type of instances happening. That's where for me at that point of the game, it was disappointing.
Okay, I can understand that given the fact it was our second night and we hadn't had anything significant occurring up until that point. But I do remember at one point when you were doing your experiment that night and when I was doing one subsequently afterwards, we both picked up on ET activity, in particular, a craft that was cloaked being present above the tree line looking down at us. And where you got 5 voices, I believe you said 3 male, 2 female. I only had one female voice coming through when I was doing it, and it was the exact same one speaking at each instance. So
Which
I
is
do
odd.
wonder. Apparently, yeah, that's what Merle had mentioned. It's a very odd scenario, but it was the same tone, the same accent, the same like tenor of voice. Like everything was very consistent with her. So I don't know much about the spirit box, Merle. You're definitely an expert on that, especially in comparison to me. I'm very new to it, but I do wonder if perhaps you and I were interacting with some of the same being from that craft. In particular, the female that I heard may have been one of the ones that you were hearing.
Fair. No, that I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah.
Um, there's definitely a chance where we could have been interacting with the same spirit or being, because if they know how to manipulate the frequencies, then they're going to be all over it
Yeah.
trying to do it again if they're around us. So that totally
All right.
makes sense.
On that note, Merle, Samantha, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break. Hour 1 of Spaced Out Radio is done and complete. Hour 2 is next, where we switch from day number 2 in the forest to the third day of complete fear. Spaced Out Radio continues on. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. Merle.
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 Woot.
Merle.
Merle.
But I wonder, like, Dave, you had 3 different men come forward, and I had and then you had 2 women. I wonder if they were trying to see which one could better communicate with you, and that's why you were going through the people.
I don't know.
So,
They were all different voices, but they were coming back. And then a couple times they overlapped. One of the females and the male overlapped. I'll be right back, guys. You chat away. I'll be right back. You could talk about more shit you're keeping from me.
Hey, you wanted results. We brought results to us.
Science.
Bless you.
For science.
Mm.
All right, let's start vibing with Mandy the haunted doll. Set that tone.
I want to go see her. I think it's going to be so interesting, but I want to make sure we are cleared beforehand, energy protection, and then we do a very good clearing before we go home.
Did I send you my doll on Mandy? Like with the hair? No?
No, you'll have to send that to me.
Okay.
I think when you talked about her previously, was it you who said don't make eye contact with her?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're gonna make eye contact with her, right?
Probably, but why did I make eye contact with her?
No, so I've investigated Mandy 3 times. 3 times.
Okay. Yeah.
The first time is where I saw an investigator trance out because he made eye contact with her and he went outside and got sick.
Oh. See, that's the kind of shot we want.
We need the next shot. So I did eye contact with her, not intentionally. Is when I was setting up. It's just kind of creepy and you kind of looking. And before we started our investigation, I'm like, okay, guys, I'm gonna go outside and get. I think I had peanuts and like a Monster Energy drink. I'm like, I want to get a snack and my drink before we start tonight.
Yeah.
But I guess I tranced out, and the medium that was with us ran over to me and stopped me from walking onto oncoming traffic on a Highway 1.
Okay, that's not good.
No, you know what? I remember a thing.
I'm seeing a pattern, Merle. Last year, this situation.
Merle just throws himself out there and sees what sticks.
Well,
Maybe we should stop that though.
Is she in a glass case, or is she just like out on a shelf? Like, what are we looking at here?
She's in a glass case.
Okay.
They may open. They'll probably open it for us.
Okay. I've never encountered a haunted doll, so I'm super excited for this. I think it'll be fun.
Yep. Okay. It'll be interesting with them, like you and your skills there.
It'll be fun.
Maybe it'll unlock something, or we'll learn some more stuff about Mandy because she's a mystery.
Well, I can't wait to find out more about her and to respectfully meet her and not piss her off.
Did you know she was on the Montel Williams show?
No, but that makes it more exciting.
Yep. She's they consider her one of like the most haunted dolls in North America, like she'd be on the same team as like Annabelle and Robert and
wow.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
I wish I had that doll here. I'd have it in a case. Nah, maybe not.
Well, plexiglass and metal, you want to have a couple layers to that.
Crosses, rosaries,
not a bad idea.
Water,
salt,
1890s Bible. You want
one at each corner. Yeah. Okay, this sounds like fun. With Mandy, did you guys already contact whoever it is that we're interacting with to arrange all that? Okay.
It'll all be good. So, yeah. There's Mandy, then. Yeah. So you in your whole time, you've never seen a haunted doll, eh?
No.
Well.
I'm excited. It's a new one for me, so it'll be fun.
Yep. What's the most haunted thing you've ever seen?
I don't get to see a lot of haunted stuff. I deal mostly with beings irritating me more than anything else, to be honest.
Fair.
Probably a nice way to put it. What about you?
Oh boy. Mandy's up there for sure.
Okay.
There's a spirit. There's a spirit at 108 Mile Ranch that followed me home. Like a bad one. I
think you mentioned that. Was it a male spirit, or am I mistaken?
It was a male, but it looked like burnt with like
Yeah.
yellow eyes.
Is that the one from the barn? Or is that the guy who you pissed off in the top floor, the back bedroom? Top floor, back bedroom. Okay.
It was from the post house. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. I'm looking forward to this. Like, I think if we get the chance, it'd be nice to go back to 108 Mile and to do another episode there. That'd be fun.
I agree.
But maybe in the autumn, so it's kind of spookier and less buggy.
And not hot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hot
because
would be bad.
we don't like heat. There he is.
Sure. Zip it up when I arrive back. Zip it up. Like,
We can't tell you what we were talking about.
Yeah, Dave. God. Joking.
yeah. Hi, Broken
All good
Shadow
things.
Feather. How you doing? Blue Cruise, nice to see you. Anybody else hop in here? We didn't notice?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Yay. With Mandy, I wonder if they would let me touch her at all.
Maybe.
I know that probably sounds horrible to say, but like just the psychometry aspect of holding something that has that much energy, I'd be very curious to know.
Okay, hold right there. Here we go in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
All right, here comes hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Great to have you with us as we talk about something in the forest with Samantha, Mowan, and Merle. We'll get back to this story when we return. I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. And it is Salamandroid. Salamandroid is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. All right. Merle is here from the Paranormal Road Trippers, and Samantha Mowat is here as well. We're talking about our excursion into the British Columbia forest just about 3 weeks ago. Hard to believe it's been that long already. And the encounters that we had. Merle, Samantha, welcome back.
Thank you, Dave.
All right. Sam, you did the Gansfeld experiment. What were you seeing when that was going on?
The things that come to mind when I think about it, outside of that very beautiful cherry red kind of goggles, I actually really like the red. I thought it was pretty. But I remember seeing a craft looking like it was in that cloaked type of appearance. So cloaking, of course, is when you can see the outline of something, but you can't see it because it's almost matching the background behind it, blending in perfectly. I remember seeing a woman at one point. I think she had brown hair, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to go into my audio files for my audio recordings and double check. I remember knowing that she was a human, and I remember getting a lot of audio messages more than visual representation, which I thought was very fascinating because I was trying very hard to connect my energy into the spirit box that Merle had passed to me and to have that have a stronger frequency with more consistency rather than focusing on just the visual.
Merle, for people who may not know, tell us what the Gansfeld experiment is.
So this is something I actually just learned how to do, and it's more of connecting with the ETs. It's so the light puts you in a bit of a trance, and so Sam was using the spirit box not necessarily as a spirit box; she was using it as white noise to kind of trance her out. And so what the Gansfeld does versus the Estes method is you see images, you can get messages, kind of it's the Estes method, but it's not. You're more in a meditative trance state, which is where we wanted Sam. So that's what the Gansfeld is, because I know you guys wanted to see if there were ETs and stuff around there. So I think that was our time to communicate doing that without doing the CE5.
I agree, but I think if I'm not mistaken, I'll have to go check my notes. I'm pretty sure that while I was doing that, I saw grays, and I think I also saw humanoid ETs. Those are the two that I recall seeing. Whereas throughout our experience in the woods, I knew the reptilians were around because I could feel their energy, and they have a very distinct vibration. So the one thing that really seemed very fascinating to me is that one woman's voice when she was speaking. She was very calm, very direct, very love-based, but she had an accent that was unlike any accent that I've heard here on Earth or while I've been on craft. So she had a very distinct way of speaking. And I remember thinking while this woman was coming through, because I think she came through a good dozen times or so,
Yeah.
that it was just her voice. And when Dave had done it, I remember him mentioning that he kept hearing different voices. And so when I was going in there doing this experiment, I was expecting to have multiple different voices coming through, because he mentioned it came over radio waves or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. And that was how they alter the frequencies of the radio waves to convey a message, if my interpretation is correct.
Yep.
And so to have that one voice coming through and to have it being the exact same volume, really, I found fascinating, but unexpected.
I wish there was a way where we can record what you're hearing. Well, I guess
Yeah.
technically we could put like a little microphone or like a lav mic in the headphone with you, essentially. I actually never thought about that. Trademarked.
Brilliant.
Where I think we should try, wow, that's a good experiment. Okay.
Yeah,
That's what we're doing next time.
okay.
So, but I think that because in that way we can sync the sound and we will be asking the questions, and then in real time we'll be hearing what you're hearing. It's annoying
Yeah.
because it's the spirit box sound. But if we're getting voices, that's your correlating evidence, so to speak, right there
Yeah.
of what we're doing, and that's the validation, because you could be throwing out any words, but a viewer isn't getting the same experience as we are. They're just getting what we think we got, where they're not sharing what we actually got.
And
Damn,
that's fair. Like, that's a really good point. You should probably look at patenting that pretty quick, because that's actually really brilliant. But looking at this, Merle, sorry, I completely lost my train of thought with that one. I think that, like we were talking about this on the break, Dave, I wonder if one of the two female voices that you heard, if perhaps it could have been one, like the female voice that I was hearing. I do wonder if, because of the craft that we were both picking up on, that was above the tree line and looking down on us from not very high up in the sky, I do wonder if there was a female on that craft who was trying to interact with you and then was interacting with me. It's a speculation.
It could have been, because one of the female voices did sound a little robotic, but it was still clear English to me. It wasn't accented like the one you had said.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of unique.
Well, the one I interacted with didn't have any robot tones at all. She did seem to have emotional fluctuation, but very concise.
Well, let's move on to hour number 3 here, or day number 3 here, because Sunday morning we wake up, we pack up camp because there are no batteries. All of our batteries that should have lasted for days, no problem, are dead. So we decide to pack up. We have to go back to SOR HQ to recharge everything and kind of get some rest, because we were all pretty tired from being out there. And it's, even though there wasn't a lot going on, paranormal wise, it's still a lot, because you're always on alert for anything that happens, and that wears you out a little bit. We decide to go back at about 5:00, and we drive on in. We get to the parking area at about 6:30, and we start making our way back into the area about 7:00 that night or that evening. And the first thing we did was set up the tent, because we knew that there was potential of rain coming. And by God, glad we did.
Yeah.
The heavens opened up with water.
And we waited for a long time for that rain to stop. That was
About an
quite a
hour.
while.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was heavy. It was basically telling us to leave. Um, Heavy rain. I know Rich and I were really stressed out about our gear because there's also humidity, like microphone and humidity and camera lenses
Yeah.
don't really play well. So we even kind of didn't set up right away, and it was more or less a big waiting game. But once it stopped, we pounced on the opportunity to investigate. Again, we were having
Mhm.
light failure. Everything was charged. Is what we did all day,
Yeah.
and the 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 energy was off right off the start. Something was different. Um, and maybe I'm saying this a little premature, but like last year when we went, Dave, Sam, we didn't sleep there. We
No.
went home after. So we were taking a page out of 2023's playbook, and we're like, okay, let's not sleep there and just see, and let's see what happens. And it was crazy, Dave. Like I'm still processing what happened. I've told a handful of people, and they can't fathom what happened to the point of hearing the footsteps. We did track a bear, like that's real. Um, and
But
freaking, oh, go
back
ahead.
up before that, like before we even went to go look for the bear, Dave walked away from all of us, and I think he
Mhm.
was having a smoke or something like that because he was feeling energy. He walked to the other side of the Jeep, walked like 40 feet away from us, and then you came over, Dave, and you called me over to come see
Oh,
if I
yeah.
could pick up what you were feeling. So that was kind of what started this whole cascade of events.
But prior to that, let's also reminisce that Mark, doing
Mhm.
his job,
Yeah.
he was scouring camp to make sure when Mark is on guard, he's always looking to make sure that there are no predatory animals around. So while we're doing our thing, Mark is kind of walking the area, listening into the forest, looking at the ground to see if there's any prints in the area. And after a heavy downpour, there was nothing on the ground.
No.
There's nothing on the ground out of the ordinary that would have caught our attention. And this is going to come into play later. Now, remember, we sat through a 1 hour torrential rain, okay, where it lightened up a couple of times, but then it would pour again. And I remember
Yep.
thinking, this is going to be a bust. Like we've had two busts in a row, and now day three is going to be a bust. And I'm thinking, geez, what a waste of money to bring Richie up here from San Francisco to do all this filming, and we're not getting anything. I was frustrated. I'm like, oh God, here we go again. But after the
Mhm.
rain stopped and I left you guys to go back down the trail, that's where I started feeling like right instantly, I started getting goosebumps. We're being watched. We are being watched. And it was the exact same area where last year, Sam, you and I were having the feeling that we were being watched in that same area by
Yeah.
something extraterrestrial. But this didn't feel extraterrestrial. It felt very cryptid.
Well, yes, but we were also on the opposite side of the road. Last year, we were facing towards the meadow when we were feeling a lot of the ET energy, and this time we're facing more towards the forest. But the cryptid energy felt very earth-based, very grounded. It felt not quite like a cougar or a bear or anything like that. It felt very cognizant and analytical, but still felt very earth-based. So it's quite different, just for those who don't know what a cryptid energy feels like. Don't you agree, Merle?
I would agree. It was because I don't know what sky energy feels like. I'm still learning about that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, there was definitely because like somebody I've grown up in the woods.
Mhm.
The energy was different. It was
Yeah.
more watchful would be the word to use,
Yeah.
and cautious. And watching Dave was right all over it. Um, where did we go from there, Dave? After you started
Well,
feeling
so
things?
I started. I called Sam over
Yeah.
because you and Richie were busy with camera gear, and I
Yeah.
called
Yeah.
Sam over and I said, Sam, this is the area because it was the area where we saw the UFO, where I
Mhm.
saw the UFO, and I said, Sam, I'm picking up something here that, it felt like it was inviting me into the trees.
Yeah.
It felt like it was like, hey, come on in here. and you encouraged me to go. And I was like, no, no. But then I figured, no, this is what honestly what went through my brain. I'm like, I always say no to Sam
Yeah.
out of fear.
Bad habits.
This time I'm saying yes. So I walked in there and I was like, hello, how are you? Would you like to show us where you are? Would you like to? I'm here. You're calling me in. Where are you? Come say hello. We're not here to
Yeah.
harm. We're here to have a conversation with you. We're here
Yeah,
to
but
see.
you were like 4 steps in, Dave. Like you were cautious with this.
I
You
was
were smart about it. Yeah.
like, I wasn't deep in. I'm not saying that I
No.
went like right into the middle. I would never do that. I don't have the cojones for that yet.
No, but I'm not trying to emasculate you. I'm just trying to help paint the scene for people because you were smart, like in case, like with Merle last year, when he ended up walking way off on his own, which we made a rule when we were doing it this time. No one goes alone. No one goes anywhere by themselves. Just it's not safe given the moose, the cougars, the bears, the grizzlies, you name it. So I just wanted to bring that part up. But I remember when you walked in there and you were saying hello, I'm like, hi, we've got snacks. Come join us at camp, not the brightest move, but whatever.
And that's where we called the team over
Yeah.
and we had a discussion. And that's where I said, we need Mark to come with us because, I'm having a feeling there is something in these trees that is watching us. And just in case we need Mark. Okay. So that's when we went down the path and then we turned to our left to go down the secondary path where Merle had his encounter with the whistling the previous year and where we had I spotted the UFO and you guys had spotted the extraterrestrial in two different areas. And that's where we continued. And Merle, you started hearing things because your hearing's much better than mine. You started hearing like something following us through those trees.
I did. It was confusing because to my left, I could hear something kind of flanking us, walking beside us, kind of pacing us.
Yeah.
But then to the right and up the trail, I heard something completely different. I heard grunting, and I heard basically what a black bear sounds like when they're foraging.
Yes.
And so
That's-
I put my hand up, and I'm like, guys, we got to stop. And then we unleash Mark to go point on the trail, and he can. Oh, go ahead.
Please don't take this the wrong way. You've jumped ahead a little bit here because right when you were feeling that whatever it was following us, that's where Sam had her eyes to the ground and found the Sasquatch track.
But when we were doing this, we do need to mention the fact that what you could hear on the side of us that was flanking us, every time we stopped, it stopped.
It stopped.
And it was just out of view. And this is very dense bush at this point. So we should mention the fact that you can't see 20 feet in. You can't even see 15 feet in. So this thing could have been just on the other side of us. And we would have had no idea whatsoever because we can't even see the branches move.
100%.
Very true. Very true. Sam, how did you find that print?
My guides told me to stop and look down. Otherwise, there's no reason I should have even looked down at that point to see it because we were too busy looking to our sides, making sure we're safe in our peripheral. Because we had found that bear print before that, and that was on the same side of the path as the Sasquatch print, if I'm not mistaken, but maybe like, 30 feet, 40 feet away? I don't know. Like, you guys are better at distances than I am, but...
Yeah, and you found the print when Mark and I were up a ways. And that's the first time I've ever seen that, Sam.
Me too.
Tell us about the print.
Yeah, but I mean, you and Mark are walking a few feet ahead of us. Dave and I are just kind of walking side by side. Richie's doing what Richie does, which is, playing with the camera and trying to get all the shots and everything. Yeah. And I remember when Dave was walking beside me, he was like talking about the being that we could sense on the side. And that's when my guides ended up saying something about stop and look down. So of course I stopped immediately and looked down. It's like, hey, what is this? This looks kind of funky. And it looked like the blade of a foot and the heel that really stood out to me being smushed off the side, which means something had walked through there after the rain, which had just stopped, in the last 20 minutes or so before we walked out there?
About 10 minutes of that. And thank goodness we had some Mark there. Okay. because Mark is an expert of everything outdoors. And, I hate to say this publicly because I know he's going to get a swelled head and start carrying Sharpies for autographs. Okay. But the point that I'm and I make fun of it because he's a friend, but somebody like Mark, and you guys can attest to Mark, this is a person who has spent the last 40 plus years being a hunting guide, being an animal tracker, being someone who knows, where to stand when the wind is blowing so animals don't catch your scent. This is somebody who's brilliant in the field of outdoors. I would call him an expert. He may not call himself an expert. I would call him an expert, and I think you guys would too. And to have Mark be able to come over there, somebody who's tracked grizzly bears, tracked black bears, tracked 1,500-pound, 2,000-pound moose, wolves, mountain lions. He knows his tracks. And for him to come over there when you saw that print and easily identify it as something very large and very human foot-like and fresh, that put I remember thinking, here we go.
But on the same hand, I remember when we were doing this, we had discussed, could this be a human that came up there in the last 20 minutes? Because we had heard someone sound like they closed a car door or a truck door the night before. That was something that we had heard and were attentive towards as the possibility of other people. But we were outlining, I think I had taken sticks to start outlining the perimeter of the foot because, we don't want to step on it in the way back, anything like that. I wish we had brought stuff for casting, but, hindsight's 2020. But Dave, at that point, I can't remember who it was, if it was Merle or who, but someone mentioned something about the possibility of there being feral people out there, or there being people who lived in the woods, and just that as a possibility to rule out any, of course, other explanations. And I think you said there was no one who lives out that way.
No, that area is clear of people. There are ranchers out there.
Yeah.
Okay. But they're there to watch their cattle. They're not there to sleep. They're not there to wander barefoot. And we continued down the trail, whatever it was, continued to follow us, Merle. And then we came to this bend in the trail where whatever was flanking us stopped. And that's where you and Mark picked up the black bear in the forest, which was foraging and making noise. And you guys started finding fresh footprints. And, that's where Mark kind of did his duty and said, you guys kind of get behind me here. And, just like any good Canadian kid would do, he's walking around. Hey, bear, where are you? Come on out. Come say hi, bear. Hey, bear, what's going on? And I'm thinking, God, we're not inviting a black bear over for freaking tea. I mean, we're rolling it in the air, but that's Mark. That's the way he is.
Yeah. He's lovely.
Oh, yeah. Once again, he'll be having an autograph session, in 100 Mile House tomorrow between 2 and 2:30 at the bookstore.
100%.
Exactly. So we got about 45 seconds to go here before we have to go to break. And this is where we decide after the black bear to go back to camp. And thank goodness we marked that footprint.
Yeah.
Okay, that Samantha saw. We marked it to where it was. And the interesting part about this, people, is if you know the story from last year, that print was very close to where I had seen the UFO. And that Samantha and the rest of the team had seen the extraterrestrial. It was very close to that. And when we were returning, though, the energy of whatever was watching us in the forest had moved. Paranormal road trippers, Merle is here. Samantha Mowat is here. Something in the forest. What was stalking us just 3 weeks ago in the British Columbia Caribou Forest, about 30 miles from anybody around us?
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Yay.
All right. Good job.
Dave Scott.
We have a
Whoop Whoop
lot
is
to cover in
Oh,
30
yeah.
minutes.
Yeah, we
Okay.
do.
Well, bullet point it.
We'll get there. I can delay it another half. If you guys want to go an extra half hour, I could do that. I could just let Robin know.
Whatever
Or-
you guys want.
I think we'll be good. We'll be good.
Okay, well, let's see how far. You know what? It would be interesting to even get Robin's perspective on this because she's who I talk to because she communicates with Sasquatch.
Oh, she's that lady. Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like her.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah. If you guys want to stick around an extra half hour after to get kind of Robin's opinion of everything, that would be kind of cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Let's do that.
Great. Bye.
You all right? Have fun.
You too.
Merle.
Merle.
See,
Merle.
I haven't changed your name this month.
No, you have not.
How do you feel about that?
You know, it all comes out in the wash.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the new saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna admit something here, and I don't want to, pat you on the back too hard here, but you were pretty awesome when we were filming, dude. You were on your game 100%.
Heck yes. That's good. Good times. You know?
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. I wonder if the period dot is still around.
He's probably lurking about in the shadows. Guaranteed. That's what he does. He just lurks around.
I see.
Not paranormal, but the period dot and I are going to a soccer game in 2 weeks.
Oh, you sickos.
Yeah.
Oh, soccer. Good choice. That'll be
sad
fun.
The sad part about it is you guys are proud of that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, God.
We're gonna FaceTime you when we're there. We're gonna
Don't
go
even
watch the Vancouver Whitecaps versus Wrexham FC, AFC. Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
You'll have so much fun. Yeah.
Sam would go if she was down here.
I would. I want to see
See?
Wrexham. I want to go to the UK just to watch them. So
Yeah.
super jealous. Send me a selfie.
I will.
I'm getting hives just listening to you right now.
This is the same thing you do. You see, you don't like the Oilers. You just like to be the Oiler guy. Now you're
I have been an
anti-soccer
Oilers
guy.
fan since 1979. Okay. Yeah, I've been an Edmonton Oilers fan since 1979. So you got to stop with this imaginary friend that you have that just became an Oilers fan to try and punk you online.
I'm gonna say that every year.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, that's just ridiculous.
But I
Ridiculous.
mean, it's not like they have a cool name like the Kraken. That's a really cool one.
I like that name.
Yeah.
Me
I
too.
like their jerseys too.
I haven't seen them.
Oh, they're gorgeous. Gorgeous coloring.
Nice.
Gorgeous coloring.
Yeah.
Black with silver, red, and an ice blue.
Oh.
It's really nice. Really nice.
Sorry, Merle? Yeah.
Yep.
Me
Mhm.
too.
A3.
Okay. This will fly by. It'll be good.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Merle did 12 hours today.
That's good for overtime.
That's normal.
Never mind.
That's walking a foot an hour.
That's walking a foot an hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you definitely entertained me with some of the stories, so
Good.
thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We got about 1 minute. Thank you tonight to W Decker Area 53, Shelly, and Hidden Tiger for the great super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support, everybody. Yeah. I'll just stop there for now. Your eyes okay?
I thought she was playing peekaboo for a second.
No, I need my glasses, but yeah, my eyes are loving it today. Actually, I'll just turn this lighting down. That might help. Oh yeah, that's better.
Love you too, Shelley Montgomery.
What else, Dave? What's the new thing all the time?
Got a ghost tour on Saturday. That'll be fun.
That will be fun.
Yeah, we had a lot of action last time. A lot
Oh,
of action. All right,
Okay.
here we go, everybody. Like 7, 8 seconds.
3 seconds. Action.
All right, let's kick off the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We very much appreciate you tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. We continue on with Merle and Samantha. Something in the woods. It's night number 3. We've found a Sasquatch print. We are heading back to the main camp. Merle, what's going through your mind?
I'm like, never thought I'd see that. That's what was going through my mind, if you want my unedited version. And then I started to process what we saw, because when we measured it, Dave, it was 17.5 inches. And you could see it was bizarre, because I've never seen that in the wild like that. That's what I was thinking going back to camp. It's pretty unsettling. And just to know that how fresh the track was, and for me to say this out loud is really bizarre for me, because I've never talked about Sasquatch or Bigfoot like this with you. And I don't know, Dave, we caught one. That's what was going through my head too. I'm like, we got the shot.
Right. So we go back to base camp, and what I'm feeling is and having a conversation with Samantha about it, how I feel that the energy has pushed back from the trees where whatever was flanking us towards where our base camp was. We make the turn. The energy, as we got about halfway down, back up the trail to go to where our camp was, I remember being buzzed, and I remember pointing behind the camp and saying, whatever it is behind us.
Yes.
We're behind our camp now. And Samantha, you were picking up on that too.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning it, and I definitely agreed with it. One thing that I recall around that time is they seemed to have stayed very close to us for the remainder of the time that we were out there. And it did feel as though we had multiple present, which was really fascinating.
Yes.
But we couldn't see them. That was the weird part.
And Mark, who's just kind of developing his own intuition as well, he was probably spot on where he picked up 5 of them.
Yeah, I think so.
like a mother, father, two smaller ones, and then kind of like this rogue protector one that would happen to be there. But that comes in a little bit later, because we go back to camp, we get back under the tent, we're setting up, trying to figure out what's going on, what are we going to do next. This is getting intense, we're feeling the energy, and then Mark says something very strange, because he's never found a print before. And here he was kind of casing around the tent where we had all of our gear stored underneath. And he looks down, and he was like, oh my God. About 10 feet away from our tent, there is another track, and it is fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever it was not there when we left 20 minutes previous, but it was there now. What was your thoughts on that, Sam? Because you immediately ran over there.
I was excited. I wanted to know if it was the same being, or if it was the same foot, or if it was the other foot. And where Mark found it, you got to think of it this way. There was no footprints leading up to it. There's no way a human could have just been pranking us and pulling our chain here, because that was so far away from the tree line and everything else. It was completely isolated. And Mark was talking about the stride of the being and how it would be able to make that print be in that location, how much bigger or taller than us it would have to be in its stride, be able to make such a clear print in that area. And then we were outlining it with a stick, and Mark was so smart. He went and got a different stick, and he cut it so that it was longer than the print, and then he measured with one notch where the beginning was, or I think he made a point at one end, which was the beginning, and then he notched at the other end how far it went exactly. It was pretty brilliant. I wouldn't have thought to do that. None of us thought to look for prints in the area that we were at. And we should have when you were getting buzz Daved. That would have been the smart thing to do.
And out of Dave's stupidity,
the
guy who was looking, I'm saying this as sarcasm to myself, as Dave's stupidity, okay, being a guy who loves going to look for cryptids, what's the one thing I don't have in my arsenal? A tape measure.
You do now, I bet.
How do you not have a tape measure when you're going to look for Bigfoot, Dave? Wake up.
We should have also had like a foot casting kit on us, or even the baby powder that I had in the truck. Like, we should have had any of that with us to be able to make the print more visible. Richie brought that up afterwards, and we're just like, oh, that's so simple. How do we not think to do that when we're going in the woods to look for Bigfoot?
I agree. Amateur move. We're not used to it. And this is where I tell people all the time on this show, I'm not a researcher. I'm an enthusiast. To me, looking at the print was good enough. But when you're trying to film all this stuff, that's not good enough. Not good enough. So I have to be better. But here's the interesting point about this. The footprint was pointing towards the trail that led up to the spot where Merle was chased out of the forest 6 years previous.
100%.
The exact same trail, the exact same piece of crash debris, which was a piece of landing gear, the exact same trees there, minus one that had fallen. Okay. The same bushes there that the creature back then hid behind. And what do, Sam? You and I take Mike's gimbal and we walk up there to do some filming, or his extra. We walked towards that area, seeing if we could see another track. But you found something interesting, Sam.
I don't know if I did. I thought Merle found it.
Merle found it, Dave.
Oh, Merle found it. I apologize.
Yeah.
We got everybody back there, and Merle, what did you find?
I found it. We'd walk down this path the last 3 days. We'd walk on this path probably multiple dozen times.
Yeah.
And I found a stick probably 7 feet tall, dry, leaning up right on our path, right on a tree, so we would find it. And it was all the bark was taken off of it. It's clean. It looks like somebody manually did it. And I know that they're bug like beetle marks on it, but just the designs on this you call it a what would you call it, a wand? Wasn't a wand, a staff. Well, what was amazing, it looks like it was done by something or someone. And the fact that we just been getting absolutely drenched by rain, the woods are soaked.
Yeah.
And the ground is soaked.
Yeah. Then you have this like perfectly dry piece of staff, 7-foot piece of wood.
Here's a couple things I noticed about that staff.
Yeah.
Number one, it was dry. Number two, most long sticks, they have little branch nubs that haven't been worn out. This one is smooth.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's smooth, like it has been worn down. And number three, actually there's 4 points. Number three was looked to be where at about 2-3 feet from the ground, there was a wet mark, almost like something had grabbed a wet towel or a wet hand or something
Yeah, you're
and
right,
wrapped
Dave.
around that area. And the fourth part was it looked like it had been twisted from the ground, because if you look at the bottom of it,
Yes.
it was twisted, like twisted, snapped from a root or something, and the dirt on the bottom of it was fresh, but it wasn't sitting on dirt. It was sitting on foliage when we found it.
That
Like
and
moss. Yeah.
I agree, but Merle, like with how often you and I were going into the woods and collecting all the wood nearby that could possibly be easy to take and to either poke the fire with or to make the fire bigger and keep it going. The whole time we're out there, we had a fire going, but I mean, we would have used that a dozen times over if we had seen it, and there's no way we would have missed it.
No, we got every piece of dry wood around us for our fire.
And Merle, one of the interesting parts about that staff was the fact that it was I lost my train of thought here. It was dry. It was I think it was there for you. The fact that you noticed it, I've wondered since then. I wondered since then whether or not whatever was in the forest in 2018 recognized you, or your odor, or your voice, and knew that it had scared you in 2018, and wondering if it was making a peace amends.
Truce. Yeah, maybe. That's actually a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
I've wondered that, and I just found it interesting. But Merle, I believe you also said, and this is the thought I had just blanked my mind for a minute. I thought you also said that you have checked the camera footage of walking through that area and the staff is not there. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're correct. I did go through it. Like I jumped through the footage of us going through there, and it didn't capture my eye, and it did not stand out because it was right by the landing gear. Because I remember we had to walk over the landing gear to keep going on the path, and that's exactly where we found it. And it was 100% not there on day 1 or 2. 100%. Day 3, I don't recall, but if it was there on day 3, that's the day we got it. So,
but when you found the staff, like it was also perfectly upright and parallel with the tree. This wasn't on an angle as though it fell down from a branch up above or from a tree that was nearby. The way
no,
it
it looked like it was placed there, to grab attention.
Definitely.
And we're not talking a big, thick fir tree here. This is a tree where, with the torrential rain that we had, that stick should have been wet.
100%.
It should have been wet top to bottom, and it wasn't. So what placed it there? The only option is either there was some human there who decided to jump up and down on a fake Sasquatch print and then only make one print before running off and putting a dry tree branch. Where they would find a dry tree branch after that rain, I don't know. Or something special happened.
Yeah.
But Dave, if it was a human who was doing this to us, we would have heard them in the bush. The type of bush that is so thick in a lot of spots that we would have heard them going from where we were at base camp originally when they were making, like if they had made that first print, and we would have heard them going back towards making the second one, and there was no human prints. Mark looked. He investigated that area very thoroughly, not just in the woods, not on the trails nearby, but on the open area that we were having our campsite. And he said he saw no other prints.
That's right.
Definitely leads me to believe it's more likely something paranormal or cryptid than human interference messing with us.
See, question I thought about, just because it was so rainy and wet, is where would it come from? Like if it was that dry, like where would let's do the Sasquatch theory here, and say if a Sasquatch put it there, where would he have gotten it from? So there must this is a rabbit hole now. Do they have a lair? Do they have a cache? Where would it come from? Like, I
I
know
don't know.
people will be like, "You're in the woods, bro. There's sticks there." I'm like, "Yeah, there are. There's hundreds and millions of them." But it was wet. This was not. And it, like Dave said, somebody'd whittled it. There wasn't a speck of bark on it.
No.
All of the little nubbies were all shaved down. Could it have been man-made? Perhaps. Let's be real. But that man would have had to have been there when we were walking all through there. At the same time.
That, and there was no pile of bark anywhere
No.
that we could have thrown on the fire. And we had made another fire that night. So, I mean, if there was a pile of bark, especially a fresh pile of bark, we would have seen it.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was at that time we decided to sit down and do some experiments. As the night grew darker, we got different camera angles. We were blown away by it. The staff and everything. And Merle, I believe it was Samantha who stated that, that this seems like a present for you because of what happened in 2018. And I agreed with that. And I mean, what are you doing with the staff now? And I know our radio audience can't see it, but I would love for you to grab that staff for our YouTube and Twitch audience and just show them.
Unos momentos, por favor.
Yeah. Sam, I mean, the whole thing, it still intrigues me because it was so obvious. It was obvious.
It was, which is wonderful. But I mean, Dave, at that point, they were being very friendly towards us, very considerate. We had asked for evidence, we had asked them to make themselves known, and they definitely had done so up to that point, which I think we should definitely be very grateful for. I do think we changed things up, perhaps not in the best way shortly thereafter, though.
All right. Merle, for our radio audience, has brought the staff out.
There's the staff.
And, the interesting part about this staff is it does have like some real neat notches in it, and it's smooth. It's not.
Most of them are shaved down. Like, there are a few, but most are like manually shaved down. But there's yeah, it's pretty big.
So what are we looking at, Merle?
These are all those weird beetly designs that Sam had pointed out. Your spot where this is like a 7-foot staff, and I'm just trying not to knock things down while I show you. I'm trying to turn it over. Your black mark of like the handprint is still on it as well.
It hasn't left.
Hold on.
And it still looks wet?
Yeah. Right here.
Wow.
That is very weird.
I'm sorry my camera's crappy right now. But
good.
Yeah, like right here. And it's kind of feels weird too. So this is
Interesting.
It's pretty big. So there's the
and show the end, because it looks like the dirt has dried up now, but that looks like it was freshly rooted.
Yeah.
And the dirt is still on there.
Yeah, this is still got 108 mile dirt on it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. That's
it was so weird.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah. I like it. I think it's really cool, Merle. I like that they gave you a gift.
I know.
We got 5.5 minutes to go before we got to take a break at the top of the hour. And I'm going to try and convince these two to hang out with Rob and Haynes after the break here. Hopefully they will. I know Merle's pretty tired for putting in a 12-hour day at work. But what happened next, Merle? We went back to camp. We kind of got settled in. It started getting dark.
Well, before it got dark, Sam took our little vlog camera. Like, we have like a little Sony 4K camera with a microphone on it that we brought into the bush, just because I know we wanted to capture emotions or have times where we wanted to do reflections. And I asked Sam to go back to the original footprint with Mark and document it and measure it, because I think Mark, in his go-go gadget camping bag
Yeah.
had something that measures something. And
Yeah.
you measured the first footprint at 17.5 inches.
Mhm.
Um, and then you went back, and then you and Mark remeasured the second print
Yeah.
at 17.5 inches. And the heel was the same, like it was same foot, essentially,
It was.
getting at.
He said it was the exact same size, like no doubts about it type thing.
Yeah, which is really cool to capture, like when you took the camera and did that. I'm happy we did that. So that's what we did next.
Yeah.
But then it got dark, and it got dark really fast.
It
Yeah,
did.
it did.
Yeah. And Sam wanted to do some more spiritual stuff.
Of course.
So I have it's a candle, essentially. It's an EMF detector. So it
Mhm.
detects EMF. And I like to use this because I think spirits and ghosts in the 1800s or early 1900s don't know what modern technology is. They're probably very familiar with a candle. So it basically, it's an on and off device. And Dave, you were getting some really good
Well,
questions with that.
prior to the candle, though, we may have done something foolish.
Well, I'm not bringing it
Yeah.
up. I glazed over it, Dave, but you do you.
We may have done something foolish, and that is out of respect. We did try for a couple minutes to see how a Ouija board would react out there, and we got nothing. We got nothing on it, and we'd get spectacles of things that would happen right off the bat, and then immediately within seconds the planchette would die. And that's when Merle then decided to try this amazing candle, an electronic candle that goes off and on, and that's where we started getting the real action of what was happening.
Yeah.
We did, because like, I know, Dave, you're really into the candle. Every question you ask, essentially, well, you got an answer. It
Mhm.
was a yes, no, and it was a direct. And you were. I'm like, ooh, we're gonna have to take this candle away. Dave's having a little too much fun with it. And it's really interesting to see you interacting with the candle, because I've never seen you quite inquisitive like that
Mm-mm.
with a piece of ghostly technology. And but then when we were using the candle, all of a sudden Mark pipes up and goes, "There's something in the woods." And then,
In all due fairness, we kind of did invite a lot of different spirits in to talk, and we probably pissed them off. Like,
fair.
let's be honest here, we definitely shouldn't have played with that Ouija board there. They did not want us doing that.
I wasn't gonna bring it up.
But
But
it's part of the journey, though.
I
It
agree, it
is.
is part of the journey.
I had no problem. I'm not embarrassed about it. I have no problem saying that we tried it out. It didn't work. It may
Yeah.
have pissed them off. It may have brought in some, different energy that they didn't like. We knew
Yeah.
the spirits from the plane crash weren't talking.
Mhm.
No.
Well,
With
fair
that.
enough, because like, there's no, like, I'll argue this till I'm blue in the face. There's no difference between a spirit box and a Ouija board. It's
I
Yeah.
agree.
you're communicating with something. There's no caller ID.
Yeah.
So it's just how you do it. The Ouija board was just invented before the spirit box, essentially.
Yeah. That's
And
fair.
and and I guess the vibe changed. That we probably wore out our welcome pretty hard with that, or pretty quick with that.
Yeah.
And that's what went. It just went spiraling, Dave, downhill.
Yeah.
It really did. And when we return from the break, we're not going to go to Steve Stockton tonight because we have to finish this story up for you. We can't leave you on a hanging for another month before Merle comes back. We can't do that. And so we're going to continue with Merle. Sam, we're going to bring in Robin Haynes as well to get a little bit of interest of what she picked up from the Sasquatch there. And this is Spaced Out Radio. This is our story about something in the woods. What is it like to have something big hunting you down in the forest? Yeah, makes you feel really small. Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio is next.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
right,
Thanks,
weird.
Jen. Yay.
My turn to take a bathroom break. I'll be right back.
You brought the Ouija board up.
It authentically happened, and I do think it's important to share that way other people don't do something stupid too. Like, I
Full
agree with you.
disclosure.
Spirit
Yeah.
box, tarot, none of it's any different than Ouija. Like, it's all connecting.
I think, like,
Yeah.
the great debate is, I think the movie The Exorcist is what made everybody all wincy about it.
Yeah, and I get that. I really do. But I mean, I think, Merle, if we had done either the 2 tests that Dave and I had done the night before, if we had done them the second night, I think given what we had done with Rich, we could have had very different results.
Fair.
What do you think?
No, I
Yeah,
agree. That definitely was a wild ride.
it was fun. I like being scared though, but maybe
Yeah.
I'm sadistic. I don't know.
The best part of the footage, well, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Is how cheery you were when I was terrified. It was so good.
I'm so sorry. I saw the sizzle reel. I was just like, oh fuck, Merle's gonna hate me because I'm like, oh yeah, he's so hard. I'm like, that was so insensitive. I should have been nicer.
Makes me laugh every time.
I feel bad. I feel so
It's
bad.
so good though. It's good. It's authentic.
I feel so mean. Just like, oh fuck, I seem like the meanest person. Oh. But I can't wait for people to hear that because that part I think is so cool. How it starts and how it ends. It's just, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Can't wait to like I'm excited to show everyone what we got. So
Gonna be good. I really like when I was looking at the sizzle reel, just how like the mood of it and how you conveyed everything. I thought it seemed like very Blair Witch meets like I don't know, kind of meets like a Netflix documentary, all kind of like thrown together in like a good way. It was
that's
cool.
exactly what I was going for.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because
So
I liked the different like lighting styles that you used and how it had like this like a bit of an ominous and dark undertone to it. It was good.
because it was, man. Yeah, it's good. I'd do it again.
Yeah, I think we gotta find some other spots we can go to that are equally as isolated and kind of crazy. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will have a meeting in the next couple of weeks. So
it'll be fun.
yeah. I can't wait to use the new camera.
Yeah, it looks good. I'm excited for you.
There you go. It's all
Let's see.
done up. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's a good light. Sorry. Not
It
turning on.
is. Be good.
So is this like a protector face on the front part? Like what is that?
Oh, so this thing?
Yeah.
It's essentially for light.
Okay,
So
like overhead
you-
light, like sunlight?
Yeah, you block light, and it just makes
Okay.
your video more cinematic, and you control better. So
Oh,
yeah.
is it heavy?
Did you hold my last one?
I did.
That's about the same.
Oh, it's not bad then.
No. And this one, I got it because of the low light. Like the low light
Nice.
is.
Yeah.
My other one, I was a little upset with its performance for given. But
That's,
that's not what it was meant for. So
yeah.
But so the box on the front of this thing still reeks of campfire.
Probably for a while. I watched the bedding after and it still has an undertone of that. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. I like that smell though. It's homey.
I do. Yeah, I agree.
So would
Yeah.
you camp there again?
100%.
Okay. Maybe we should go back 1 year later. Will year 3 be just as successful as the first 2?
It will. We will do that. That'll be good.
I mean, if we see aliens 1 year and then Bigfoot the next, is it Dogman on the 3rd? Like, who's coming the next year?
Oh, that would be amazing. I'd
That'd
love to be a dog man
terrifying
guy.
and
Yeah.
cool.
Maybe Blair Witch. maybe something like that.
Yeah, I'm worried we're going to be abandoned.
Some
Something
found
like
footage
that.
stuff. Yep.
All right.
Oh,
There's
she's
Robin.
back.
Hi, Robin.
Hey,
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
So we have Samantha and Merle here. We've been telling our story from the forest all night long, and we figured this would be a good time to go right from the top of the hour to kind of get your take on everything.
okay. Sounds
Well-
good. Hi, guys. Good to see you
Hello.
in person other than just hear your voice on the phone.
Yes.
Hey, Robin. Nice to meet you in a more
Oh,
awake capacity.
yeah. Yeah, that was so awesome though that night. That was really incredible.
Yeah, you're in Texas, right?
I'm moving to Texas. I'm currently in South Carolina and I'm in between the two states.
Cool.
Like I'm running back and forth a lot.
Mm.
So,
Wow.
yeah,
Cool.
I'm running all over these days.
Happy moving. That's exciting.
I am very excited. Very, very excited. I cannot wait.
All right, guys, we got 20 seconds before we're going. I want to say a big thank you to Dutch Hank, Forrest Louie, Hidden Tiger, Shelly, and W. Decker, Area 53 for the amazing super chats. Very much appreciate the love. And don't forget, everybody, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We
Sorry,
do not
guys.
have ugly swag. Here we go, everybody. All right, it's the final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Something in the forest. It's not a good feeling when you're being stalked by something you can't see. We'll continue on with Merle, Samantha Mowat, and we're going to be joined momentarily by Robin Haynes as we continue on. But first, I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Let's go to the Desert Clam, who set the password for tonight. It is Salamandroid. Salamandroid is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Okay, let's get right to it. Something in the forest. We got Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers, Samantha Mowat. We are freshly joined by Sasquatch communicator, intuitive, Robin Haynes, who comes in for the Cryptid Report. Let's play Robin's music, shall we? Let's just do it. It just seems great. All right. Something in the forest. And Robin, I've kind of filled you in, and we contacted you when everything kind of happened.
Yeah.
That night after we got out of the forest on the Sunday when we were being stalked. We're just going to finish up the story here about us all of a sudden getting the word from Mark, our safety guide out in the forest, that it was time to leave. And Merle, what was your thoughts when Mark all of a sudden said, "We got to go. It's time"?
I was like, why? In my head, I'm thinking like that. Because I didn't hear anything immediately. But knowing Mark for as long as I have and knowing how stoic, dude, I thought I'm stoic, but this guy, rock hard stoic. Once he's getting a little excitable of what's going on in the woods, I know we need to pay attention. Like you, I trust his judgment. I guess I'm a little late to the party because I'd like to capture the evidence because that's why we're there. But once he pointed his shotgun up, scanning the area, and said that something in there is bipedal, then I'm like, well, I guess we're leaving.
Yeah.
And just hearing whatever it was walking in the bush was terrifying. So I was more slow, but then I see Sam running around starting to pack. I've never seen someone pack up a tent so fast.
Because I don't want us to leave anything.
So I pack all my gear up, and then Dave starts ferrying us. Do you want me to keep going of what
Keep,
happened?
keep going.
Okay.
We fill up the Jeep on the first load.
Yep.
And we jam. Like, you can't fit more in a Jeep than what we had in there. A 2-door Jeep, not a 4-door that gives you luxury with room. A 2-door Jeep. And Merle, I ferry you down to the vehicles. We throw everything out. But as we are coming up the hill to where Sam's vehicle is parked, what did you see?
I saw. So remember earlier when we were talking about the lady in the white dress with the shoulder length hair, looking confused. This woman was sitting in Sam's vehicle in the passenger seat, and it absolutely struck fear in me. And then Dave's in a huge panic. He's in a panic because we need to get out of there. He wants to ferry everyone, and he basically just drops me off and bounces. And I have Sam's key, and I'm like, oh man,
I waited for you to unlock and get in the vehicle.
yeah.
But
But oh, go ahead, Sam.
But on the same hand, like, I know that Mark wanted us together, but I didn't feel like we were in danger at any point. I felt like, yeah, we should leave because they'd like us to leave and be respectful to their wishes. But it didn't at any point feel like they're going to hurt us. At least not in my opinion.
But seeing that spirit in your vehicle absolutely petrified me. So Dave leaves. I'm sitting in your car. I
Yeah.
start it, and I just because the comfort of the diesel sound. I didn't want to hear what I was hearing because I heard tapping all over your truck, like somebody
Yeah.
tapping it, running around. But like the roar of the diesel kind of
Toned it out.
buried that sound.
Yeah.
And just the fact that I saw the same woman, and I made eye contact with it. I made eye
Mhm.
contact with her, and she just watched me when Dave was driving by your car. And I'm like, oh man, that's absolutely terrifying. And waiting for Dave to come back, I'm just watching for headlights
Yeah, but
the entire
you felt
time.
like
And
4
then
minutes.
it felt like 80. And
Okay.
then so you guys come up, and I fly out of the vehicle like a bat out of hell, and tell you my experience. And I don't, Dave, I don't think you've ever heard me that
You were
scared.
worked up, and the
Yeah.
fact that you came out with your famous line that you almost hopped in the, if we weren't going to be another 2-3 minutes, you were literally hitting the gas pedal and bolting.
Like you.
Peace.
You were
Home
both
roll,
scared
Dave
shitless.
Scott. Yep.
Yeah.
I love you, but you were.
Yeah. When Mark panics, what got me on that was Mark had this look of concern on his eyes. And I've never
Yeah.
seen that before. I've been in the forest probably 150 times with Mark.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen that look on his face before. Like, there was a look of concern, a look of safety. And
Yeah.
it rattled me. It rattled me to the core that here's a guy who I trust not only with my life, but my son's life when we're out in the forest. Okay. And in my opinion, I can't speak highly enough of his knowledge.
Yeah.
And it just kind of happened. And Robin, after we got out of the forest, we contacted you, and thank you for actually picking up your phone, which would have been probably 2:00 in the morning, your time.
Yeah. Yeah. I
You know,
always answer for you.
I know you do. And I'm very grateful for that. Very grateful for that. When you picked up the phone and heard us kind of needing some answers, what was going through your mind?
Just to kind of analyze the situation, I reached out immediately to the Sasquatch there to find out, was there actually a real danger? Was it just because of the events that it was frightening? What was really kind of going on? Then you do the whole remote view thing, rewind the time loop a little bit to kind of go back a little bit, and then you read all the energy signatures. So kind of a whole lot at one time, because I do have people that contact me when they're out in the field, whether it's during the day or at night. And so when things like this are going on, it's almost like I automatically go into autopilot on a list of things that I do. Honestly, I could be wrong. I'm not infallible. I didn't get that there was any danger. As far as seeing the ghost in the car, I think it's important to always remember these are high frequency, high energy beings, and anybody that works with spirits also knows that they are attracted to that. All of these things flock together, even if we don't realize that they're all around each other. So that, like, of course, I've had enough experiences with it, so like it would not have bothered me per se, but I can see where it would be completely frightening to other people. The other thing is, once I found out that everybody was safe, you know, obviously I'm like safety police with everybody, so that was my first priority. But when you think about it, the whole reason everybody went out there was to encounter Sasquatch. So then when you did encounter Sasquatch, everybody panicked.
I did not panic.
No, you
You
sounded
can
really
outcome
calm
me
when
in
I
that
talked to you.
loop.
Yeah, and yeah, you were calm. The thing of it is it is scary for everybody. It really is. I don't care who you are, whether it's me or whatever, certain situations, even when they're not trying to intimidate you, even when you're not in danger, it can be a very scary situation. Like with myself, I will go out at night. I normally go out during the day because I have more activity during the day. But, you know, I don't like anything in the dark that I can't see up front. I can handle them cloaked. Being cloaked doesn't faze me at all. They'll come up to me cloaked and put their hands on my shoulder and play with my hair. I don't mind that at all. It's when I can't see, that's when things unrattle me. Surprisingly enough, though, hearing the movement and them getting close, that doesn't faze me. But I can see where it would be terrifying to people that are not, you know, I grew up with it. It's been going on my whole life. So even if you've been doing it for 10 years, I can see where that would be frightening. You know, and I have nothing but respect for that, because I think we all need to, even in the best of situations, have a healthy fear, because a lot of damage can be done and people can get hurt. You know, that's why if you don't know how to read the energy signatures, you don't know what's coming at you, and that can make it even more scary. You know, like I read energy signatures so I can tell good or bad before it gets there. So when you can't, you're just left to find out as it approaches you. So I can understand why everybody was scared. I totally am sympathetic to that. But the purpose of the mission was to go out and have interaction. You guys got it. You did a tremendous job. You had an amazing encounter. You know, luckily nobody got hurt. Their true intention was just to escort you out. You know, the first 2 days that you guys were there, they observed you from a distance. You really didn't pick up anything. It was kind of, you know, a dead area. You went to go charge batteries and everything. At that point, when you left, they didn't pay attention. They normally read intent. They did not read the intent that you were coming back. So when you came back, they had other things that they were personally doing. They were going through that area and scouring it all down because you had already been there and they knew you were there. So they're now checking out to see what you've done, what you haven't done. You guys got there while they were still there, and they did have younger ones with them. When they have younger ones with them, they are in high alert. They are so much more protective even than we are, and we're protective with our kids. The level that they go, because they're higher frequency and energy, is absolutely unheard of. So then you came back. Okay. Then there was the equipment, which unnerves them a little bit. Then there was the board, you know, that can let potentially anything come into that area. So now they're even on guard more. It was just like the perfect storm. There was no intent to hurt. There was a major intent to escort you out. You know, the spirit being there, that was just the luck of the draw, because when you have something that has as much energy and frequency as what they do, all of these things hang around it. The elementals do, the dimensionals do, the spirits do, because they all function on energy and frequency. So you end up getting all of them at one time. I was grateful that Dave contacted me. You know, I'm very honored that I even got brought in on it. It was an extraordinary night for sure. Definitely one for the books.
Now, what about the stick?
They can project any smell that they want. Okay. I mean, number one, they don't all smell. Some of them have poor grooming habits and hygiene habits, just like people do. But at the same time, they can also project any smell that they wish to kind of warn you away or comfort you. I've had some that'll come up and make a lavender smell for comfort. You know, I've had people that have been out in the woods with me and they smell coffee. So anything that they want, any emotion, any feeling, any smell, they can project on you for whatever that intent is. They could have very easily did it with the smell just to say, hey, you need to go. We want to make sure you know we're here. And that's why they didn't up the smell.
No, the stick. Mike was talking about the stick, the
staff.
The staff.
Okay, I know you guys found one. I remember you were telling me about that.
What did you get on that? What do you think that was?
Well, I think that, they probably had picked up that stick just in case they needed it as a weapon, not that, the extreme strength they had wasn't enough. They could have used that stick for a great many things, and they simply threw it down there so that you would know they had been there. I don't feel it was ill-intended. I didn't feel or pick up any energies that were negative about it. It was a matter of they had it. I think David said they had drawn something like a line or something in the dirt or something of that nature. I think it was just a way of giving you confirmation. I'm sorry if the dogs bark. Giving you confirmation that they were there so that you knew it was not just a figment of your imagination. It was an actual, we were there. You need to be aware we were there.
Was it a gift left for Merle, in your opinion? Because that's in 2018.
No, they told me they left a rock. There should be a rock. I don't know if you guys found it or not. There was a rock that they did leave as a gift. I don't think, and of course you didn't know to look for it, so how would you know? But as far as the stick go, I don't believe it was a gift. I think it was meant as a message. This is something that they had handled, they had used, whether they walked around with it, whether they poked things with it. They'll grab sticks, and if it's things that they think like where the tents might have been or whatever, anything that you've touched and they don't know if it's safe for them, they will use a stick. They will use whatever to poke at it. I think that's all it was. But I do believe that they left it for you as a message to say, hey, we were there. We know you were there. We were watching you. To make sure that you knew without a doubt that they were onto the fact that you were there.
Fair.
But that's my opinion. That doesn't make it 100% right.
That's
I
interesting.
Still didn't find the rock.
I know, but you didn't know to look for it. That's the thing. You're out in the forest, and they love to leave rocks. Rocks are a big thing for them to leave. You leave a rock. Who in the world is going to be out in the forest and look for a rock? There's 1,000 of them. So if you don't know, they're going to leave you a gift of a rock. Unless it's like right up on top of your car, which I've had them do that before. I'll go to the car and there'll be one sitting on the car. But I mean, if they leave it in an obscure place, you're not going to know that rock was for you. There's rocks all over the place. You're in the forest.
Yeah.
Sam, any questions for her?
No.
That's
No,
interesting.
I like her. I think she's entertaining.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing? Thanks, Samantha.
That's
I like
interesting.
seeing how other people channel and how they get their information, and hearing about your experiences. You experience a totally different type of beings than I normally work with. So to me, it's just interesting to hear.
Oh, thank you. Okay. I was like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not sure.
It's a compliment. Don't worry.
Oh, thank you very much. Now, I work with all beings. Like, I mean, I always have. I never set out to do it. Like, they found me. I never found them. So, whether it's spirits, ETs, cryptids, dimensionals, elementals, if they reach out to me, I can reach out to them. So it's kind of like the whole thing is all on them. I've never set out to go find anybody. They usually locate me.
I know that
but
too.
You were so charming that night to talk to. I really enjoyed it. You were just as sweet as can be. And it was great because you were like very in tune with everything. So I love that.
Yeah, I like how you and I got a lot of the same information, I love the confirmation, hearing from someone else who wasn't there, who's looking into it, which is nice. Yeah,
it was like we got different things different ways, but they all meshed and they all matched. And I loved that. Yeah. I really loved that because, I've done this for a very long time. I still like the verification, because at least sometimes you do it so much and then you think, gosh, I tell these people this and this. Am I really right? So when you get, I trust myself, but still, there's no way to, unless you get it verified, you don't know for sure. So I really enjoyed that. You guys were all really nice that night, by the way.
We were followed. Oh, go ahead, Samantha.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna ask her, like, after we had packed up camp and Dave had taken Merle down the path and Richie, myself, and Mark were walking, I felt like they went into the campsite and they were no longer at the tree line. It felt like they were kind of there watching us walk out. Do
Mhm.
you agree that they were kind of walking out with us? Because it kind of felt like they were staying out of sight, but still just like right at the edge of the tree line.
Yeah. What I got when I looked at it, you had
Yeah.
2 or 3 that shadowed you out. When those 3 went out there and followed you all the way out to make sure you were going where that you were supposed to, there were others that then went into the campground and kind of like searched it to check for anything, make sure everything was fine. There were no booby traps.
Yeah.
There was nothing left that could hurt them or try to capture them or injure them or
Yeah.
anything like that. But definitely had some shadow you out.
Yeah,
What
because I
about
remember the guy. Go ahead, Dave.
the whistles, Sam?
What whistle?
Well,
Oh yeah, we heard
whistle-
whistling on our way out.
Yeah,
Mhm.
whistles are they use those for communication. What they're doing is they go between each other. Those whistles alerted the others on what to do.
Okay.
It's all
So I think-
communication, very similar to like our military, would do. Like that one could be whistling in a certain pattern to alert the others that they could do certain things, or you'll occasionally get them where they'll whistle back and forth. So you'll get them from
Okay.
more than one place. But yeah, it's all communication, instructing the other ones on what to do and how to handle it.
So Robin, would that be why we heard the same type of whistle 2 or 3 times? Because we thought we
Absolutely.
were. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's all about the communication, like a Morse code, if you will. For them, it's just like stick structures. They're gorgeous. They're fun to look at. Stick structures are all communication. They're not just decorative. They are a form of communication, like an unwritten language, and the whistles are the same thing. The howls, the calls, all of those are communication to alert the other ones on what needs to be done, what's happening, what's going on, and how to proceed.
Were they knocking on Sam's truck? When I
Very
was in it?
possible. When you were saying about the tapping, they were cloaked. They just went up to the truck and they were tapping all over it.
Were they doing it to terrify me? Like, I don't understand why they'd be doing that.
No, I don't think it was to terrify you. I think they wanted you to just know that they were there, that they were close, they were watching. The thing that and it's really hard because they do things, that do frighten us. Let's be real, they do. And it is good to have a healthy fear of them because we should. But the other part of it is they do like to play games. They're terrible jokesters. And so that's a fun thing to them, But again, the tapping, that was to let you know, hey, we're right here. We're watching you. We know what you're doing. We know your intent. We know what you're up to. I'm going to make sure you get out of here because, this is where I want you to be. Tap, tap, tap. This is the spot where you need to be. You don't need to be in the woods. You need to be over here. So, again, if they wanted to, these are, as we know, a human hybrid, but they are a being that if they want to harm you, there is no place on this planet or any other planet that you're going to go and get away from it.
What do you think would have happened if we had spent the night up there?
They would have played with the tent. You would have had them walking around a lot. They would have probably pulled on your blankets. I went to a place one time and I camped out and they sat on the outside of the tent and they rubbed my head through the tent all night long. I don't think anybody honestly would have gotten hurt. I think that if they felt for a minute that maybe their children were uncomfortable with you spending the night, then they might have made enough noises, howled a little bit or whatever to chase you out of there. I don't feel in my heart and soul, not that there aren't ones that are mean. The mean ones are lethal. They really and truly are. What you encountered was not. I think there would have been noises. They would have gone through your camp. They would have tried to see if there was food there. They would have walked around the tent. They would have pushed down on the tent to see if they could feel your head. I don't feel in my heart that particular group would have done damage to you.
And on that note, we have to say goodnight to Merle, Samantha Mowat, and Robin Haynes on an extended Paranormal Road Trippers Ghost of the Great White North / Cryptid Report. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Coming
you.
up next on Spaced Out Radio, it's Dave 101. Let's see where it goes.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
Awesome show, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, it was
Thank you,
lovely to meet
Robin.
you guys.
Thank
You're
you.
wonderful.
You too.
Thanks for letting me be a part of it. I really enjoyed it, and I totally was honored to get the call that night.
Awesome.
Thanks,
I was
Robin.
happy that you were confirming a lot of things we were thinking. So,
Yeah,
thank
me
you.
too. If you ever need me again, you know how to get me. You
Cool.
guys all
Love
take
you, Robin.
care.
Love you,
Bye.
Robin. Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye.
Ciao.
She's the best. She's the best. Sam,
Sweet.
we'll talk soon. Merle, we'll talk soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I'm going to bed.
Chat. Bye-bye. All right, Merle. Good night, buddy.
Good night.
I'll be right back, everybody. Ain't your calls. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave. Sweet Robbie G. There he is. Take a bow, sweets. Take a bow. Casey Lindy, welcome to SOR Chat. All right, we got about 38 seconds. JSCO, how you doing? Thank you to W. Decker, Area 53, Shelley, Hidden Tiger, Forrest Louie, and Dutch Hank for the great super chats tonight. Very much appreciate the love. Don't forget, you can always shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. More coming very, very soon. It's going to be pretty darn cool. Let's make sure we have some fun here, because here we go. All right, hour 3, the final half hour. We're here already. Hard to believe this show has flown on by so fast. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. It's that time of the night where I yell at everybody to get off my lawn. It's a Dave 101.
It's time for Dave 101.
Open up the door, it's Dave! Dave, D-A-V-E!
All right. One of the things I want to talk about after listening to Samantha and Merle, that's really the first elongated chat we have had since Something in the Forest. We're trying to put something together for you guys that will be viewed on camera very soon. We're going to try and do that. We have a few things that we have coming up here first that we got to take care of before we do that. But that's not the point of tonight's Dave 101. It's about fear. You know, there's a lot of internet tough guys out there who think that they're going to catch that photo. They're going to catch that video. They'll go face to face with a UFO, an alien, a dogman, a Bigfoot, whatever the high strangeness may be. And they're going to be the one who is going to be the hero for bringing this to the public. Let me tell you about what fear is like. That weekend out with Samantha and Merle, that Sunday night, when things started getting a little complicated, as you just heard, I was scared. I have no problem admitting I was scared. What scared me, not the fact that there was Sasquatch around, but when I saw the look of concern on my friend Mark's face. Mark was there as our armed guard. He was there to take care of us, to make sure no apex predatory animals came after us, whether it was bears, grizzly bears, moose, mountain lions, wolves. That's what he was there for. He was not there to raise his rifle towards a Sasquatch. Mark is somebody I trust with my life. I trust him so much that when I bring my son along, I know Mark has safety first, always when he's in the forest. And I trust him with everything. That's what friends do, is you trust each other. And that night, when Mark said, it's time to pack up, it's time to leave, he had this look on his face that I'd never seen before. I don't quite know how to explain it. It wasn't fear, but it was a very grave look of concern. And I've talked to him about it. And I said, were you scared? Because you had this look on your face. And he goes, no, I wasn't scared. I just knew from my time in the forest that when it's time to leave, it's time to leave. And it was time to leave. And I was like, okay, I can accept that. I can accept that rationality. I'm kind of jumpy at times. And when I had that look from Mark, I was scared. I really was. I wasn't to the point of doing anything to soil my pants or anything, using a little humor there. But it was time to work. It was time to go. It was time to pack up. And I had concern for what if this creature came out after us? What would happen? What would I do? You see, there's a real sense of bravery among people out there, enthusiasts like myself, who don't really know what the forest is like. The forest is a dangerous place in the best of times. Whether it's in certain areas, it's snakes, it's bugs, it's spiders. And then you get into the bigger animals. Like I mentioned, wolves, bears, mountain lions. In certain areas, feral hogs. In certain areas, moose. Animals that do not like people. But when you're dealing with the unknown, and the unknown is what is stalking you in the middle of the forest. I don't know if you've ever been stalked before. It's a very, very uncomfortable feeling, especially when you hear it but don't see it. And you cannot see it because of the tree branches, because of the thickness of the brush, because it's nighttime. It's not a comfortable feeling. Now, I can tell you point blank, I have never had a gun pulled on me. I have never been robbed, outside of my car being broken into a couple of times. I have never, ever been followed. I have never had somebody stalking me. And I'm thankful for that. And maybe it's because I live in the middle of nowhere that might be. But I wouldn't wish that on anybody. I don't know what that's like. What I do know is the fear that something bipedal was walking through the trees very close to us and was making us aware of its presence. Now, because of my tinnitus, I wasn't hearing what the good-eared people were hearing. No, they were hearing noises. They were hearing heavy footsteps. They were hearing branches moving. Could it have been a bear? Yeah, probably to me or you it would have. But to somebody as experienced as Mark out there who could tell the difference between something walking on 2 feet and something walking on all fours, that is the difference. There is an element of fear when you're dealing with the unknown. Now, I'll tell you point blank, I've done enough paranormal investigations to know ghosts don't scare me. They don't. Done it enough. I've seen possessions. I have seen full body apparitions. I've been attacked by a ghost 3 times. That did not scare me. Upset me, didn't scare me. But when you are dealing with something that is superhuman, to use that term, you feel very, very small in an area that you have no control over. Sure, I hear people online, oh, you should have went into the trees. You should have seen what you got. Well, hey, I know investigators who will. I don't do it enough in order to actually challenge my own fear because I'm a safety first kind of guy. If I get that feeling it's time to go, it's time to go. Samantha, on the other hand, she's pretty brave. Don't let her petite stature fool you. She's very brave. When her and I saw the alien in the forest, she was ready to walk up to it. I'm the one who held her back. When we were in the forest last year with the UFO and the alien and the Sasquatch roar, She was the one who was like, let's go to it. I'm like, let's just stand back. And then 3 weeks ago, when we had this encounter where it was stalking us, that's probably the most uncomfortable feeling I've ever had. It literally felt that we were small little peons in a great big adult world. It felt like we were going to be scolded for being in an area where we shouldn't be. Remember, as a kid, mom would scold you if all of a sudden she found you doing something in the house that you shouldn't be doing, like shoving Legos down or putting Legos down the toilet and flushing the toilet or something along those lines. Yeah, that's what it felt like. There was a real sense of fear that night that I don't know whether I'm chicken or whether I did the right thing by leaving with the team. But whatever it was the right decision. And a lot of these people who are making these critiques, not on us, but I've seen them online over the years where, oh, you shouldn't have left. You shouldn't have, you should have stuck it out. You should have done this. These are people who would never, ever leave their couch to go do what we did. They never leave their couch. They're armchair quarterbacks. They always know best from a distance rather than getting out in the field and actually being there. It's intimidating. It makes you question things. It makes you question your own reality. It makes you question whether or not you are strong enough to actually have that close encounter. I would love a close encounter with a Sasquatch. I would love a face-to-face encounter with a UFO, which I've had twice, or an extraterrestrial. I would. I don't know how I would react. I remember in the Hollywood Vietnam movie, Hamburger Hill, they were sitting around by this bridge eating their lunch. And the one soldier is talking about he can't wait to go home and wear his army jump boots walking down the town all proud. And the other soldier who is on his second tour says, how are you going to act? The guy's like, what do you mean? He goes, how are you going to act? Realizing that the soldier who would be going home soon didn't understand that the scenario of Vietnam had changed them from their language to their politeness. And they were going home to an unfriendly environment. It reminded me of that because I ask these people who critique those who show a little bit of fear and accept that intimidation. How are you going to act when you're put in that situation? The armchair quarterback will always say, oh, I would have ran into the forest. I would have ran into that. Really? What if it wasn't a Sasquatch, but a grizzly bear? What would you have done? You wouldn't have done nothing. You'd be dead by now. Because death in the forest is a really real thing. Animals can sneak up on you without you even knowing because they are adaptive to their environment and we are out of ours. So was I scared? 100% scared. Would I do it again? Yes, I would. I want to make sure, though, that no matter what happens on this journey of high strangeness that I'm on, that at the end of the day, I'm coming home to my family. Because it can be that real. You don't have to accept it if you're a critic or a skeptic. But the reality is, if you're a critic or a skeptic, there's probably a 90 to 99% chance that you've never been in the forest. You've never seen or felt what it's like to feel really small when all of a sudden the birds, the chipmunks, the squirrels go silent? It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be scared. And it's okay to leave. Sure, Merle and Samantha may laugh at me. Okay. And my strength and my confidence in myself is building in the forest. It really is. Would I like to say that I have the strength to have that face-to-face encounter with a Sasquatch or an alien? Yeah. But the reality is, I don't know how I'm going to act. I don't know what it's going to do to my heart. I don't know what it's going to do to my brain. And I don't know what it's going to do to my body. And for the majority of you, a high percentage majority of you, it would be the same. It's not a comfortable feeling when you're being hunted. And I could tell you right now, I don't recommend it. That's your Dave 101. Let's get to the news.
What time is it?
It's time for Shirky Poo's news!
All right, let's check this on out. Let's head on over to this weird story. You know, we talk about addictions. I mentioned it on last night's show. But this is an addiction of a whole different kind. Yeah. Those who suffer from chronic pain would probably just try to do about anything to alleviate it. But what about getting yourself purposely stung by bees? A lady named Margaret claims it's the only solution she's found to be effective at giving her a bit of light relief from her arthritis, which otherwise leaves her struggling to move and complete daily tasks. Yeah, old Marge here said she would rather be prodded on her own skin by the stingers of bees instead of dealing with agonizing aches and pains in her joints. Says a lot about how much discomfort she must be in. Margaret is from Morningview, Kentucky. Don't know if she's ever seen the goblins. And she explains in the media, it's much more than some kind of folk medicine to her, as injecting herself with bee venom actually helps her pain, it improves her mood, and, well, get this, has boosted her sex life. During an appearance on T&E's My Strange Addiction a number of years ago, she explained, I brought it into the house and stung myself. The next day, I was able to move easier. It was a surprise it actually worked. First time I stung myself, it didn't hurt as bad as I thought it would, and it just got easier every time. At the time of the filming, she revealed that she had been stinging herself with bees for the last decade and was doing it up to 100 times a week, all to make use of the venom's anti-inflammatory and pain-relieving properties. Marge said, I'm addicted to stinging myself with bees. I sting myself on my hip, my elbows, on a finger, on my ankle, my forehead, or the tip of my nose. The most I've ever given myself was between 15 and 20 in my left hip. I really love stinging myself with bees. Although the bee stinging saga started off with medical motivations, it quickly turned into an addiction for Marge. So much so that she even carries bees around in her purse in case she fancies a dose of bee venom while she's out and about. Oh, let's go for tea and a beer sting. How about that? Yeah. Lady needs help. Lady needs help. Let's move on to another one here. I don't get this one. A man from Illinois has been arrested after accidentally shooting himself during a nightmare. Bad dreams can be an awful thing. We've all had them, especially when they appear to be incredibly realistic. If you've never been chased through your house by a psychotic madman in a dream world state and woken up in a puddle of sweat, then maybe you can't relate to what this guy has gone through. On the night of April 10th, 62-year-old Mike DeCara was dreaming of a burglar breaking into his home. During the awful dream, he grabbed his .357 Magnum and fired a shot into the darkness before a pain in his leg woke him up to an empty room. It turns out there was no home invasion, and the pain was due to DeCara mistakenly shooting himself in his dreamlike state. The man was quickly rushed to hospital once police arrived to find him losing a significant amount of blood. However, trouble would brew when investigators discovered that he used the revolver without a state-mandated firearm owner's identification card. Oh, Mikey. Yeah, DeCara's LinkedIn profile says that he's a semi-retired attorney who is licensed to practice law in Wisconsin and Illinois. According to deputies, they found DeCara bleeding profusely from his leg, and they applied a tourniquet to help bring it under control before sending him off to the hospital for treatment. Thankfully, nobody was harmed by a stray bullet that passed through his leg before lodging itself in his bedding. The authorities quickly concluded that no home invasion ever took place, but the man was subsequently believed to have violated state firearms laws. Even though he previously owned an identification card, it had been revoked. However, officials have yet to confirm why or when his license was revoked. The state attorney's office did go on to announce that they would be attempting to charge DeCara for possession of a gun without a valid firearms owner's identification card. He is also charged with reckless discharge of a firearm. The elderly man appeared in court after posting $150,000 bond due to his nightmare blunder. That seems a little excessive. $150,000 for this situation. Yeah, we're investigating an accidental and negligent shootings. However, this is the first we can recall someone fired a gun because of a dream they were having, said Lake County Deputy Chief Christopher Cofelli. Just no sympathy. No sympathy there. As we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Elgan, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, don't make a mistake. We're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. The seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. All right, that was fun. That was fun. Wait 2 seconds here. You guys have fun with that one? Thanks, little Timmy in the backwoods. Hey, Tane, how are you? Debaruni, how are you? Hack Mystery or Hackmeister1, thanks for joining us. Still warm in here. Still warm in here. Tomorrow night on the show, John Kachuba is going to join us. We are going to be talking about shapeshifters. How awesome is that? Shapeshifters. Major Lee, what's happening? Give us something you're not believing today, if you don't mind. High reality. We felt the aliens around. We felt there was a craft around. We did not get to see the aliens. They did not come out and play with us. Kind of disappointing, to be blunt. Any other questions? Planet 9 is simple. It's Pluto. It's always Pluto. Pluto needs to be a planet. Again. Thanks, Neil deGrasse Tyson. We are going to talk about playing some reruns so you guys have something to listen to while we're doing our work. Okay. I think that would be something. I got to talk to Rob about that. But we'll probably be doing that. No, that seems about right. What we're doing with the footage right now is we're in the process of making a media guide and a sizzle reel that might be interesting to some type of television people. If that doesn't work over the next few months, or we don't have what it takes, because there's a reality to that, we may cut it up ourselves and put it on YouTube. So it might go a couple of ways.
Listening to Spaced Out Radio with
Do our best, Nikki. We'll do our best. All right, a big thank you to W. Decker, Shelly, Hidden Tiger, Louie, and Dutch Hank for the super chats. Greatly appreciated, guys. I'm going to go tune out here because I'm pretty tired, and it's been a long week for me doing both jobs this week. And I'm going to have a busy, busy time coming on up, so I'm going to let you guys go. And my voice is sore. So we'll all see you tomorrow night for John Kachuba, everybody. Take care. See you soon. Bye.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.